Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto betrayed in the forest of death. Sasuke bashing. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Averell Torrent and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. I can't believe that it actually turned out like this, came a voice from the dark corner of the cell. Naruto Uzumaki. He was betrayed and now things were set in motion. His decision to plan for many large things was a wise decision. Though this betrayal shocked him, he could no longer stop himself from smirking as everything was going according to plan. I still can't believe that it turned out this way. Oh well. All that's left is to sit and wait. He sat in the darkness, unable to stop himself from thinking of all the events between now and when everything had started. Nights in Konohagakure were usually calm. However, some nights were less than usual. One such night would be October 10th. On this night there was a 6-year-old who stumbled into his small clean apartment where he lived alone. He wore a tattered white shirt and equally torn orange pants with a thick black line down the two sides. This was 6-year-old Naruto Uzumaki. He had just managed to escape a mob. He still didn't know why they hated him so much, even though he had been trying to figure it out. He even tried asking the Hokage, who had told him he didn't know. He stumbled towards his bathroom well covered in his own blood. Somehow the wounds were already stitching themselves back together and closing. At this point going to the bathroom was more to clean himself than to tend his wounds. In the bathroom, there was a small mirror about as tall as he was. It was leaning against the wall because he was too short to look into the one above his sink. Naruto used the water from the sink to wash off his face before turning to look into said mirror to see his reflection staring back at him. His expression showing his sadness over the situation before contorting into a face of rage as he punched the mirror. Instantly the mirror was covered in a web of cracks around his fist, which was now full of shards from the mirror. He didn't care. It would heal like all his other wounds did. He looked into what was left of the mirror trying to think about what to do next. Some of his escape plans had worked. He had managed to set up an emergency underground system over time, but was too far from any of the hidden entrances when they attacked. One of the villagers had started a mob at some point and they had started to chase him down. One of his escape plans that had worked was setting up small places he could hide where he kept some food in case he needed to wait there a while. He had one time hidden in the sewer system and had waited there. He saw how extensive it was and had started mapping it over the next few weeks and had mapped almost every pipe. However, the openings large enough for him to get into were limited. When he realized this he started to set up an underground tunnel system for him to use that he had been able to dig up himself. Granted it was difficult due to the concrete and stone. I need to figure out more ways to avoid and escape conflicts with them. I can't fight a whole mob. Naruto had tried before when he was cornered, but it made things worse. They simply beat him more. Some of the villagers had attacked and many simply watched. But then a thought struck him. Another perfect plan unfolding. He started to smile. It was a broad, almost goofy smile. Well, that's one plan that I could use. I wonder what hiding behind a smiling mask would get me. He turned to finish cleaning himself off before changing his cloths and moving towards his closet. As he walked over to his closet he couldn't help but smirk as another plan popped into his head. If one didn't work he could try another. Small ideas came to him all the time. He tried to plan for everything and discarded ideas that would never help. When he got into his closet he opened a small panel he put in to cover a hole. He long ago started using the apartment next to his as a study where he kept his plans and thoughts. It would be bad if the Hokage saw some of them. No one else lived there and the Hokage had no reason to use the other apartment. Many of these included contingencies in case he needed to leave Konoha. He knew he would never get away if they knew he had plans for it. If the Hokage knew he would set up ways to stop me, this was all important to him. He knew that in this world, with his life, he needed to be smarter or he would never survive. He walked over to a small desk he had and turned on a lamp before writing his new idea down. This way he could remember all of the details of his plans later. Well, that might help with getting some of them off of my back. He turned around and looked at the stacks of paper almost as tall as he was. There were hundreds of them. All were plans waiting for the conditions necessary to use them. If one was no longer needed he would see if parts of it could be used in a different plan, then threw it away. Naruto had been looking into the small mirror in his hand for a while now. This was not the first time he tried to change a personality trait in order to appease them. Being more serious for some reason made things worse. They seemed to think of him as a more serious problem. Yeah, but this time I'm going to be hiding behind a mask of idiocy. 6 years of my life, they have made me miserable, and the Hokage still doesn't know why. I can't help but wonder why. All this time and there are only a few people I can trust. At least Weasel should be here soon. I can trust him right on time. There was a knock on his window before a man in a weasel mask came in through it. Hello Itachi. I've asked you not to use my real name while I'm on duty. Even if you and I have become friends. Also, I'm sorry I was not there to protect you last night. My mission took longer than it should and I didn't get back until it was too late. Itachi said. Well, that's fine. I understand. Care to take a guess what my new plan for trying to keep them off my back is this time? Based on the way you're smiling, I would have to say that you are going to try and hide behind a smile. Exactly, Nai-san. However, a more complex way of saying it would be that I will be hiding behind a mask of stupidity and a smile so that they take me less seriously and leave me alone. I hope it doesn't work though. Why is that? Because when I look at this idiotic smile in the mirror I almost want to break the mirror. I hate feeling like I might need to hide behind this stupid mask. I can understand that, Itachi started, so I hope for your sake you don't have to do so for long. Alright, it's taking all my willpower to maintain this mask. Let's get to the Hokage so I can inform him. Naruto said. Itachi nodded and followed as Naruto jumped out the window and followed from the rooftops as Naruto took off down the streets towards the Hokage tower. Itachi would have to stop by Naruto's place tomorrow night before he left so he could say goodbye. Itachi was going to be leaving tomorrow, leaving behind everything in his life for the existence of a criminal and a murderer. He felt bad that one of the few people that the younger brother figure trusted was going to be leaving him alone, but he didn't have much choice. On the way there they were met with no resistance. The people were too shocked by Naruto's weird and overly happy expression that they couldn't react before he was gone. When they got into the Hokage tower, Naruto burst into the third's office. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, was currently alone with his fingers on his temples. He was squinting like he was trying to focus intensely on something. In actuality he was trying to disintegrate the mountain of paperwork on his desk with his mind. It took the village leader a few moments to notice that Naruto was there. Oh, I didn't notice you there, Naruto. Here to greet me before your first day at the academy. Naruto's huge and goofy grin did not go unnoticed. That's right, Gigi. He said with his hands behind his head. Still trying to make your paperwork disappear with your mind. Sigh. He was seen. Yes, I was, the grandfather figure said. He was another one of the few Naruto trusted. So do tell, what is with the change of attitude? The last time I saw you was only the day before yesterday and you were rather bored with the situation. Naruto's smile wavered almost unnoticeably, it was so slight and fast. Well, I'm hoping that hiding behind a mask of stupidity will help get them off my back. The third instantly knew who and what he was talking about. We shall see. The third said, starting thinking about the effect this could have. You have tried changing attitude before. Are you sure this will work? My hope is that they take me less seriously. Alright, let's hope it does then. He checked the time. I have a meeting to go to and you're almost late. Go ahead, I'll see you later and we can talk more. Naruto turned to leave but stopped, his voice turning slightly darker, but almost unnoticeably so. Have you figured anything out about why they hate me or anything about my family? I wish I did, but no. Nothing yet. The Hokage responded, his voice sounding slightly depressed. Instantly Naruto's voice went back into a cheery mood. Alright, well, I'll get going. After he left, Itachi came from the corner and walked up to the third. So when do you intend on telling him? He asked. When he can defend himself and he is ready. Was the reply, but before Itachi left he said, oh, and Itachi, I'm sorry. Itachi simply nodded and left the third to glare at his paperwork as he continued to watch over Naruto on his way to the academy. Over time, a few things changed. Naruto was now 10 years old. He couldn't help but wonder at some of the things he had yet to solve. The first was why Itachi had come to him that night and told him goodbye, or why the older brother figure and guardian had asked him to help his younger brother Sasuke to stay on the right path and get stronger. When he heard about the massacre of the Uchiha clan, he could not believe it at first. That was why Itachi had said goodbye. However, while he had figured out that part, he was unable to make all of the pieces fit. Why come to say goodbye when you were about to slaughter your clan? Part of it didn't fit and Naruto didn't think it ever would unless he talked to Itachi again. However, after all this time he had still yet to officially meet the younger brother but had seen him a few times. It was clear that he would have to get close to him before he could help him. However, that was not easy as he rejected most human contact. He would have to wait until a time when it would be easier. Another thing that changed is that the attacks grew less frequent and, on average, less brutal. This seemed to stem from most people taking him less seriously now that he was an idiot. He was often left alone and had very few people that ever talked to him. For some reason people still avoided him. But that was fine. He had wanted to be noticed by the village, to make the village like and respect him, but for now he was settling for not being hated. He was now walking out of one of the side doors to the academy as he wanted to avoid some of the roads and paths that were more widely used. As he walked out the door he noticed that along the wall of the main academy building, there were two people bullying another person while a fourth was lazily watching. His own words were that it was too troublesome to get involved. Naruto was about to go over and intervene, but when the word freak reached his ears, the idiotic mask he used to hide his true face slipped away for the third time since its creation. The first two being times when he was talking to the third and momentarily let it fall. The only difference was that this time it didn't just slip, the false face partially fell away to reveal a dark aura in his eyes as he let loose some of rage at the world he kept inside. Naruto quickly walked over, trying to contain the killing intent, and saw that Kiba and Choji were beating up Shino while Shikamaru was watching. Before Naruto got close enough to be noticed, he heard why they were attacking Shino. They thought Shino was a freak because of the way his clan had bugs living inside their bodies. It sickened Naruto. When he got close enough his voice was darker than usual, and it carried the undertone that he was ready to kill whoever answered his next question unfavorably. "What in the world are you doing?" His dark but calm and slightly lowered voice shocked them all, even Shino, who was glad someone had come. Kiba was the first to shake his unease at the tone, as well as who they came from, and spoke up. "What's it look like, Uzumaki? We're beating up the freak. Now join in or go away." Naruto couldn't take it anymore and snapped. "You think you have some right to attack and judge Saman for things beyond their control, how do you?" The others were shocked that this would come from him. His smile was replaced with a look of absolute loathing. "If you think you are better than him, then look at yourselves. You fat Akimichi. You think you are better. I'm surprised your clan hasn't eaten this village into poverty." Under normal circumstances Choji would have attacked, but he was too shocked at how Naruto was acting. "And you," he pointed at Kiba, "your clan spends so much time with dogs, I'm sure you're covered in more fleas than any bug user has ever seen." Shikamaru was thinking to himself right now. "I know I've judged him too, but I really hope he doesn't yell at me. It would be too troublesome," but his hopes were denied as Naruto looked at him. "And you, did you think I wouldn't notice you? You sit there and the only reason you don't get in on this is because you and your clan are the laziest group of people to ever exist. You think this gives you a right to attack someone for the clan they were born into? You are all hypocrites that deserve a horrible fate. I just hope I'm there to see it," he said. Once his rant was done, the silence that followed was deafening. No one could have expected that this would have come from Naruto. But as quickly as it came, Naruto quickly put the mask back on and, while smiling, offered a hand to Shino, who at this point was sitting on the ground against the wall. "Need a hand?" Shino merely gave a single nod and took the help up. All four of them were looking at Naruto like he just slapped them with a third arm that grew out of his neck. His face went to one of confusion as he waved his hand in front of Shino's face. When he got his attention he turned to walk away, saying, "Come on. Or do you want to stay here?" After he said that, Shino walked quickly to join him. "What the hell just happened?" yelled Kiba. Break. Over the next few weeks Naruto and Shino had become good friends. Naruto had eventually explained how he was hated for a reason he did not know. They quickly became friends and usually hung out together after they were done at the academy. Today they were on their way to Ichiraku Ramen for lunch. All at once Naruto stopped walking and turned around. His halt was caused by the feeling that he was being watched. His suspicion was confirmed when he saw someone duck behind a fence. Naruto was curious as to who would be following him and went to check it out. "What's wrong, Naruto?" Shino asked. He was unaware of them being followed. "We are being followed," Naruto whispered in response. They backtracked so that they could see who was stalking them. However, they were shocked to see Hinata. "It's that girl I saved from those guys a couple of years ago," he thought. He had seen her in school and realized how shy she was. "Hey there, Hinata." He decided not to question her about following them and instead decided to see if he could make a friend out of her. "We were headed to Ichiraku Ramen. Want to join us?" Shino quickly saw what Naruto was trying to do and agreed. "Yes, as they say, the more numerous the more favorable." Naruto looked at him. "I don't think that's how that goes, Shino." They both chuckled for a few seconds before turning back to Hinata. Shino spoke up, "So what do you think, Hinata?" She looked at Naruto and blushed while poking the tips of her fingers together as she started to stutter. "SS sure and Naruto. Alright, let's go." "I wonder if he will ever figure out why she acts like that," Shino wondered to himself as he watched the clearly oblivious Naruto turn towards their destination. Break. 3 days after turning Hinata into his friend, Naruto was walking towards the Forest of Death. During times when he wanted to get away from everything he had spent time in training ground 44 due to the fact that no one went there. He liked the quiet that came with it. The forest was one of the many training grounds and forests in general that surrounded the village and were within its barrier. He knew that plenty of people were afraid of the forest, but most of it seemed to be rumors as the creatures living in the forest generally left him alone unless he got too close or they were just in a bad mood. He had wanted to spend time with Shino and Hinata, but they were currently busy with things at their clan compounds. On the way there, he noticed the glares, but tried to ignore them. He didn't expect it when someone ran into him and he stumbled back. When he looked up to see a woman he didn't know. However, anyone who knew her would call her Anko Mitarashi. "Watch it, brat." Naruto saw it. That look in her eyes. She looked at him like everyone else. Things quickly changed when they both heard people whispering. She turned to see people looking in her direction with looks of hatred and fear. She was about to yell at them to piss off when she suddenly realized they weren't looking at her. They were looking at Naruto. This shocked her because her hatred for the monster had kept her from seeing that she looked at him like the villagers would look at her most other times. She looked at him to see he was looking her in the eye with no emotion on his face. They look at us in the exact same way. Did you ever notice that? He said, seeing the shock on her face. Oh well. Then he started to walk away, leaving her to her thoughts as she saw all their glares follow him. This was going to weigh heavily on her mind for a while. Break. Well, that sucked. Naruto was sitting under a tree with Shino and Hinata. 3 years had passed since he made friends of them. He had been able to change a few things as time passed. Not long after he met her, Anko had found him in the forest of death, sleeping next to the roots of a tree. When he woke, he and she had a conversation about their shared pain and how lonely they really were. Anko had told him how she had trained with Orochimaru. How the village hated her for it. She told him of how she had suffered the pain of being alone because of that monster's mistakes. But Naruto had been able to make him open up. He was still overly quiet when he was not around people he knew, but changes usually come with small steps. Being more talkative with Naruto and Hinata was a step in the right direction. Hinata still blushed and stuttered, and her blushing was far and few between. Though it was particularly around Naruto, who still hadn't realized, but she had gotten better. Her stutter was less, and usually she could hold a good conversation. She was still shy, but over the past 3 years she had gotten significantly better. He had eventually introduced Anko to them, and over time the four of them had all gotten significantly closer. Anko was sometimes seen as a big sister figure due to her being older and protective of her newfound friends. Beneath her mask of not caring about what others thought of her, she really did want to have friends. Over time they had learned more about her, such as the fact that she could be exceedingly sadistic when she felt like it. This counted even more so for her position in the integration department. They were currently trying to figure out how they could solve a problem. Well, that sucked. Naruto was sitting under a tree with Shino and Hinata. I agree, Naruto-kun, Hinata said. So what are we going to do now? We could always ask Anko-san to talk to them. I'm sure she could find a civilized solution to this mix-up. Shino said. Shino, that's real. How do I put this? Oh yes, that's probably the most sadistic thing I've ever heard. I like it. Naruto said. He knew Shino meant torture. He could tell Shino was smiling even though he couldn't see most of Shino's face. But as entertaining as that would be merely to listen to, let alone watch, their report has probably been written up and sent in already. If they changed it now without a good reason, he let it hang there. The problem was that Naruto had failed the Genin exam. His scores were just enough for him to pass. His henge had caused the teacher at Rukuyamino and most of the class to almost pass out from blood loss caused by massive nosebleeds, as well as most of the girls to call him a pervert and proceeded to hit him on the head. But it was perfect and passed. However, his bunshin were crap and he had failed. The jutsu had created a single copy of himself, but the copy was nothing more than a blob formed into the shape of a person. He would probably curse that jutsu until he was buried, after which he would still curse it. The problem was that now his friends would probably not be around as much, but it could not be changed for now. He would have to try again in a couple of years. As much I would love to sit here with you guys, I'm going to go sit in the forest of death and think. He said. Alright, Naruto. We'll meet you at Ichiraku's later then. Hinata said. See you then. Oh, and Shino, he said, getting the boys' attention. Don't have Anko talk to them. As Naruto walked away, he could have sworn he heard Shino mutter something about Naruto spoiling his fun. It caused him to have a slight shiver. Shino could also be one sadistic person when he wanted to be. Naruto continued to walk towards the forest of death down one of the back roads of Konoha so as to be noticed less. Naruto knew they weren't actually back roads, but he had used the term for paths and roads in Konoha that were less used than most. He was stopped by a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Mizuki, the other teacher, standing there. Naruto knew that Mizuki was one of the biggest saboteurs of his education. However, he decided to ignore it as it helped fit his mask. Naruto had known for a long time that Mizuki hated him like everyone else did. He could see it in the man's eyes. However, Naruto had yet to figure out why, just like with everyone else. Naruto had never trusted or liked the teacher, but pretended to have no clue because he wanted his mask to remain until it became more of a hindrance than a help. He would get stronger without the fool, so he saw no reason to make a big deal about it. The only problem was his inability to pass. Naruto, I'm glad I was able to find you. I'm here to give you your makeup exam. He said with a smile. Makeup exam? He didn't believe this for a second, but his mask was a guise of gullibility and needed to be maintained. Easy, thought Mizuki. Yes. Because you failed, I was authorized to give you another chance. Alright, Mizuki-sensei. What's this test supposed to be exactly? he asked, giving a broad smile. Break. It was sad to admit, but taking the scroll from the perverted third Hokage had been all too easy. Naruto was sitting in the small clearing Mizuki told him to wait to receive his hit I-8, the item that distinguished him as a graduate student. Now all that was left was to learn a technique from the scroll. That means it won't be suspicious if I open it. Opening it gave Naruto the biggest shock of his life. There were notes in this scroll from the Shodaime, Nidaime, and even a few from when the Sandaime was younger. There were seals, notes, jutsu, and even information about the Bijuu, how to seal them, and Jinchuriki, whatever those are Naruto thought, in the scroll. No wonder Mizuki wants this without giving it much though. Naruto set to work. Long ago he had gone to the library in the academy to learn about sealing scrolls so he could hide his food, clean water, and other valuables. So he did what anyone in his position would do. He copied everything he found and took everything sealed in the scroll and put them in his own scrolls. Once the scroll no longer had use to him compared to what he carried, he quickly learned a jutsu. I'll need this when Mizuki gets here. He quickly took to the jutsu he chose due to its lack of needed control and closed the scroll just in time. Naruto, what do you think you're doing? Came a voice that was way too sweet sounding. He turned around to see Iruka. I'm screwed. Hey there Iruka-sensei. What are you doing here? He said sounding nervous. I could ask you the same thing. Then he noticed that Naruto's cloths were slightly scuffed. Has he been training? Naruto. They both turned to see Mizuki. Crap, with Iruka here I'm going to have to speed things along. Naruto, you pass. Now toss me the scroll and I'll give you your hit I-8. No Mizuki, I don't think I will. I think I will instead kick your ass, Naruto said. Strong words from a 13-year-old. Mizuki taunted. Iruka was about to tell Naruto to stand back before Naruto continued. You did tell me to learn one technique from the scroll. Crap, I didn't expect him to actually learn something from the forbidden scroll. He has to be bluffing. Mizuki thought either way, he'll have to use the trump card. Naruto, would you like to know why everyone hates you? No, Mizuki, it's forbidden. Iruka shouted. What do you two mean? Even the Hokage doesn't know that. I've asked him. Well, that shows how much he can be trusted, Naruto, since he made the law that no one can tell you this. Do you know the story of the Kyuubi that attacked the village? Of course, the Yondaime killed it. Mizuki, shut up. Iruka tried to intervene. No. This came from Naruto, shocking both instructors. I want to know what you two are talking about. Mizuki smirked. Well, you can't kill a Bijuu. You have to seal it within another person. That day you were born the fourth sealed it into you. You are the Kyuubi. Now die. Mizuki sent one of his large shuriken flying. Before Naruto could try to dodge or block it, Iruka jumped in front of it and took the shuriken to his back. Why? Naruto asked. Iruka went on to explain how he no longer saw Naruto as the monster everyone else saw. How his own life allowed him to understand why Naruto acted as he did. He long ago knew Naruto was using a mask to hide. He explained how he truly saw Naruto Uzumaki. He told Naruto how he come to think of Naruto as a younger brother because of how similar their lives were without family. Well, isn't that sweet? But I don't have time for this. Mizuki finished before he kicked Iruka away. Now I'll take the scroll and kill you both. Wrong team. Naruto's face contorted into one of rage. If you ever lay a hand on Iruka-sensei, I will kill you. Oh wait. I'm already going to do that. Naruto yelled as he made a hand seal before more than 100 Narutos popped into existence. Hold him down, I want to finish him myself. Mizuki may have been a Chunin, but it didn't take long before he was restrained with the clones pulling each limb in a different direction. The real one walked up to his head before whispering in his ear goodbye. A sickening snap filled the clearing as Naruto broke Mizuki's neck. Iruka was shocked to say the least. But when Naruto looked at him he was terrified. Naruto's eyes finally showed his true face as the mask was shattered. His eyes showed the calculating, smart side. They showed his hatred, as well as the calm. They showed that he was no longer the idiot with a smile. His face was blank. Well, Iruka-sensei. Let's get back to the Hokage. Iruka simply nodded as Naruto helped him remove the shuriken from his back. With the adrenaline leaving his system mixed with the pain, it was not long before Iruka was being carried unconscious on Naruto's shoulder while he carried the scroll under his other arm. That the Sandaime Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, was shocked was an understatement. He never would have guessed that the real Naruto would have been capable of something like this. He knew that the real Naruto would have undergone some changes under the mask over time, but this still shocked him. Well, he only found him and tuned in once Mizuki had gotten there, so didn't know about Naruto's cleansing of the scroll. They would be in his office soon, so he put away the ball and stood in front of his desk to wait. He was not surprised when Naruto came in without Iruka. He must have given him to a guard so he could be taken to the hospital. So, Naruto, could you tell me all of what happened? Sure, but first I would like you to make sure no one else is listening. His replay was a privacy seal being activated and a signal for the Anbu, the elite of Konoha shinobi, to leave. Naruto walked closer with his face still blank. He put down the scroll before he further shocked the Hokage. Naruto punched the grandfather figure in the stomach, causing him to lean over in pain. The Sandaime hadn't expected Naruto to attack him. They were close, and he saw himself as Naruto's closest thing to family. The saying was true then. Even the greatest could be taken down by what they didn't see coming. Even a stray kunai could take down a cage if they didn't stop it or see it. Naruto spoke, his voice low and cold. Did you think that would not happen? You lied to me. Every time I asked, you looked me in the eye and lied through your teeth. Did you think I could not be trusted? That I couldn't accept the knowledge? What other lies have you told me? Do you know who my parents are? The cage was panicking. This was all unraveling. You listen, you have lost my trust. You should be glad I killed Mizuki, because if I hadn't I would still be angry, no pissed off, and would probably have had a kunai in my hand when I punched you. The man's eyes widened at this. He might be dead. Naruto acted differently. Oh, and let's not forget I still need you to tell me what you know. I'm going home. He removed his fist and turned around. Things are going to be different now. I hope you realize that, he said as he walked out the door. Naruto woke to the sound of knocking. There was someone at the door. When Naruto got out of bed he was wearing his orange pants with single black lines running down the outside of both legs and his Uzumaki patch on his left hip. He was also dressed in a black shirt with a Uzumaki swirl on his back made out of red line and filled in with white. As he made his way to the door, he had to wonder who could be there right now and what they wanted. When he opened the door, he didn't expect to be pulled into a hug, nor did he expect his face to be pulled into some large assets. The one hugging him was none other than Anko, who wanted to both hug and strangle the blonde at the same time. She figured this would do. Anko, I don't think he can breathe with his face right there. In actuality, despite sounding amused, Shino was actually jealous while Hinata was blushing. When she released Naruto from her grip she spoke. Alright, spill it. What happened? You didn't show up to Ichiraku's last night, causing these two to come and find me. Meanwhile I was summoned by the Hokage to track you down after you stole the forbidden scroll. Now you have to tell us why. Naruto nodded. Come inside and I'll explain. His face looked grim. When they got in, Hinata spoke first. Naruto-kun, when you didn't join me and Shino-kun at Ichiraku's we became worried. We went to find Anko, but all she said was that she couldn't talk at the moment because she was trying to find you. She looked pissed. I was looking for you because apparently you had stolen the forbidden scroll. Anko responded. Now why don't you tell us what happened? Naruto, Anko said, sounding falsely sweet. Great, here comes the shitstorm, Naruto thought to himself before he let loose a tired sigh. Well, I guess I should tell you how I came to create a mask to hide my true self, how last night it shattered, and how I killed Mizuki before punching the Hokage. His audience stood there gaping at him. Anko was thinking to herself, oh, I have got to hear this. He went on to explain how the village hated him, how he had created his mask to try to appease them, how last night he had gone through with Mizuki's plan so he could single out the traitor, and everything that had happened last night. What he dreaded was the telling Hinata and Shino about the Kyuubi. He knew Anko already knew, so he didn't worry too much about her. He could trust her. When he got done telling them how he was the container for the Kyuubi and how it had caused so much of his misery, he looked at the three of them expectantly. Hinata was the first to act. She wrapped her arms around him, pulling him into an embrace. We are your friends, Naruto. No matter what has happened, there is no way we could hate you for this. We will always be here for you, she said as she started to cry into his right shoulder. Hinata, thank you, Naruto thought as he wrapped his own right arm around her. The next was Shino, who put his hand on Naruto's free shoulder before speaking. You once defended me because I had something living in me. I could not control that aspect of my life. I shall always do the same for you, my friend. Anko was the last as to speak. You know, I already knew. So all I have to say is that I'm sorry I never told you. She sounded almost depressed. Naruto extended his left arm in a sign of forgiveness. She spoke again, smiling this time. I hate group hugs, but I'll make an exception this time. What do you mean? Shino never finished his sentence as Anko pulled him and herself closer together and into Naruto's extended arm as she enforced said group hug. She wrapped one arm around Naruto and Shino while the other went around Hinata before she squeezed them in what could have classified as a B-rank Taijutsu death grip. There was a collective Anko I can't breathe before she let them go, smirking to herself. Their moment was interrupted by a knock at the door. Naruto quickly went to see who it was this time. Who knows, maybe it's another groundbreaking life changer. When he opened the door it was Iruka. Sensei, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in the hospital? Iruka smiled, yeah, but they had a medic nin help patch me up. The shuriken didn't go too deep, so they dismissed me without too much argument. They patched me up, told me not to move too much for a couple of days, and said I could go. However, I'm here for more important reasons, he said as he pulled out a hit I-8 and handed it to Naruto. What is this? Asked the stunned Naruto. Because you mastered the Kage Bunshin, the Hokage thought you deserved it. He also told me to tell you he was sorry and that after he cleared his schedule he wanted to talk to you. Mind if I asked what happened? Maybe later. For now I just want to say thank you for becoming someone I can trust. What do you mean, Naruto? For now, just take my words to heart, sensei. Iruka gave Naruto a confused look before sighing and accepting it. Alright, you are welcome, Naruto. Also, I think I should inform you that team placement is in a few minutes. You might want to hurry up. My replacement won't wait on you. Oh no, we forgot. They heard Hinata say. Hinata? Shino. What you doing here? You're going to be late. Anko walked up and said, don't worry, I'll get them there on time. Sure, Anko. I'll leave it to you. Anko still scared the crap out of him. As long as you all get there on time. I'll see you later, Naruto. Goodbye, sensei. I'll see you later. Naruto responded before Iruka left. Iruka tried not to run due to his orders not to move too much. Anko still scared the crap out of him. Once, a child who failed the Genin exam paid her in dango and sick satisfaction to, as she put it, talk to him. He lasted all of 90 seconds before he said he would change his report. Just the memory of the event made him shiver. Meanwhile, Naruto closed the door before thinking to himself, maybe the Hokage is here to tell me I've been chosen as the Godame, as he opened the door to find nothing on the other side. Darn it, what are you doing? Anko asked. Nothing. So how are we going to get there on time? I'll handle that. Anko said. I'll use Shunshin. It's a technique that allows me to move at high speeds. Grab my arm and try not to puke. As much as they wanted to know how to do this and why they might puke, they knew they were short on time and grabbed her arms. When they got there were several different reactions. Shino hit it well, but was excessively dizzy. Hinata threw up in a corner. Naruto did better, but was actively trying not to do the same as Hinata, and Anko let loose a sigh over Hinata's actions. Some of their classmates were shocked by their arrival, some, Shikamaru, were disinterested because it was too troublesome, and finally the teacher that hated the theatrical entrance face palmed. Alright, Jana, time for me to get out of here. Good luck, Anko said before disappearing with another Shunshin. I've got to learn how to do that, went through many of the students' heads. Waving it off like it was just a distraction, the replacement teacher spoke. Alright, come on. Let's get this over with, I've got a poker game after this. Naruto, Shino, and Hinata quickly sat down. Hey, Baka, I thought you failed. Came Sakura's voice. I did, but when I killed Mizuki after he betrayed the village, the powers that be decided I deserved a promotion. Was the only response she got from the blonde who was sitting there waiting with little emotion on his face. Shocked, she couldn't say anything before the teacher continued giving off team placement. Break. To say that Naruto was disappointed was an understatement. He and his friends had been separated by that ridiculous team placement. He ended up on a team with Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. His relationship with the two was limited to say the least. 1. He had tried to get close to. He tried to help Sasuke when he was in the same class so that he could fulfill his promise to Itachi. However, this was difficult, seeing as how Sasuke distanced himself from everyone. Now Naruto knew what Itachi was talking about. Sakura was originally on Naruto's list of people that might fit the obvious choices for his mask. She was someone that others would have expected to see his fake persona going after. However, he was happy he found friends in Shino and Hinata, so he didn't have to deal with such idiocy. Naruto did have to say that waiting for 3 hours for their new team leader was beginning to make him angry. However, while sitting there, Sakura decided to ask Naruto about the sudden change in attitude. Naruto, what happened to you? You're acting different than usual. While he tried to hide his interest, Sasuke was also curious, considering how he talked about killing a Chunin. Naruto gave a short and derisive chuckle. Well, the answer to your question is simple. All that time you knew me, what you actually knew was nothing more than a mask I wore to get some of you idiots off of my back. Last night, when Mizuki tried to steal the forbidden scroll, revealed a secret that was punishable by death, tried to kill me and Iruka-sensei, and, last but not least, pissed me off, I dropped the mask and used a jutsu I recently learned to kill that team. They were too stunned to respond. The Naruto they knew was just a mask. Even Sasuke had a small amount of shock on his face. At that moment, Naruto was stood up. He was tired of waiting. I'm heading to the roof. He said, but what about waiting for our sensei? Sakura stood up, trying to stop him from getting them into trouble. I'm done waiting here. You can tell him where I'm at when he finally gets here. But first, he didn't finish as he went to work with some rope and a panel that he pulled out of a scroll. Sakura and Sasuke stared at him, wondering what he was doing. Naruto continued setting something up for their late sensei before leaving. The entire time he paid their stares no mind. They thought they heard him chuckle darkly before he was gone. It was another 30 minutes before their sensei, Kakashi Haddock, walked through the door. He was about to speak before he heard a click. What was all he said before a panel appeared under his feet and some hidden rope sent him flying out the window. The two sitting in the class sweat dropped that he was fooled so easily. After another few moments he walked back into the room, much more cautiously this time, while pulling a branch out of his clothing. "Well, my first impression of you is that where's the other one? He said he would be on the roof. He was tired of waiting on you in here," Sakura said. "Well, that's a first. I guess it's time to go meet this Naruto Uzumaki, alright, seeing as how the other one is already there, meet me on the roof," he said before he shunshined to the roof. The two ran to the roof wondering what was going to happen between them and the two mysteries they were now on the same team with. When Kakashi got to the roof, he found Naruto sitting on the railing reading a book. "Can I assume that you are the one who set that trap in the class?" He received a nod in response. "I already don't like you," Kakashi said. "Why? Because I set a trap for you or because you fell for it?" "A bit of both actually." "Well, that's too bad," Naruto said. "According to this book, there has been an age-old argument over whether or not it is better to be loved or feared. I quite personally lean toward being loved. When people fear you, they might take drastic measures to get rid of their fear." "That sounds like a wise assessment," Kakashi responded. "You like to read and can give some good wisdom. Perhaps you aren't so bad after all." He finished with a strange eye smile before they were joined by Sakura and Sasuke. "Good, I think it's about time we introduced ourselves. Sit down. I'll go first. My name is Kakashi Haddock. I have no desire to tell you my likes and dislikes. Dreams for the future. And I have lots of hobbies. All we learned was your name," Sasuke said. "Very astute," Naruto said. "What about you?" Kakashi said, pointing to Sakura. "My name is Sakura Haruno. What I like, or rather who I like," she said as she started looking at Sasuke. "My hobbies are," she continued to look at the brooding teammate. "My dream for the future is," she said before squealing. Kakashi sighed. "And what about your dislikes?" Sakura would have originally have said Naruto, but she now knew very little about this new him. Kakashi sighed again. "And what about you, the one brooding?" "My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things and I don't particularly like anything. And what I have is not a dream. I will make it a reality. I will restore my clan and I will destroy a certain person. Great, a fangirl, an avenger, and an imbecile if the file is correct," Kakashi thought to himself before gesturing to Naruto. "And what about you?" "My name, as a jounin like you with all of our files probably knows, is Naruto Uzumaki. My likes are reading, planning, my friends, and keeping my word. My dislikes include, but are not limited to hypocrites, idiots, people who can't see past their own hatred of something to see reality, and betrayal. My hobbies include planning, spending time with friends and people I trust, and training. And my dream is to gain respect, become acknowledged by this village, and to become the Hokage." Interesting, the final member of this team is the exact opposite of what I was expecting. I'll have to ask the Hokage about that later. "Well, now that we know each other, it's time to get ready for your exam tomorrow." "Sensei, didn't we already have our exam?" "That's why we are here to begin with," Sakura said. "Actually, that was just to weed out those who couldn't handle it. Tomorrow you will take an exam to decide whether or not you become genin or go back to the academy. Meet me at 6 am on training ground 7. Good luck. Oh, and you shouldn't eat breakfast or you might throw up. See ya." "Well," Naruto said, standing up and stretching, "I'll see you tomorrow." "Oh, and I would disregard some of his orders." "What foolishness are you spouting now, dope?" Sasuke asked arrogantly. "I'm saying that if you don't eat you won't have the energy for whatever is going to happen. I'd rather throw up." As much as Sasuke hated to admit it, Naruto was right. Before Sakura could speak up to call Naruto a baka, Sasuke said, "He's right, we should spend more time getting stronger than listening to orders that might get us killed." "Oh Sasuke, you're so cool." Sakura squealed with delight. "I'm out," Naruto thought before taking off. With the hit I ate on his head, he no longer had to worry about the villagers. He was now virtually untouchable by them because of it. He knew that no matter how small of a part he was part of Konoha's military. The villagers might be unfathomably stupid, but they weren't about to attack a member of the military. That would give Naruto and the Hokage all the reason needed to justify having the villagers responsible put to death. However, as happy as he was about that, the Hokage wanted to see him. Time to go see what he could get out of the village leader. When he got to the Hokage tower, it was not long before he stood in front of the Hokage. If one were to look closely, you could tell said leader had been crying. Naruto was both looking forward to this talk and dreading it. "You wanted to see me, Lord Sandaime." The third was shocked by the coldness in his voice. "Hello, Naruto. I wanted to talk to you," the Hokage said, sounding like he was trying to suppress his sadness. "I gathered that much from Iruka. What do you want to talk about? If all you want to say is that you are sorry, well, I got that from Iruka as well. What I wanted to talk to you about, I need your word won't leave this room," he said as he activated the privacy seal. "It will not leave this room except for the few I have in my own inner circle. If there is one thing I've learned, it's that I'm the more trustworthy of the two of us," Naruto said, a scowl growing on his face. The Sandaime sighed. Getting closer to Naruto again was going to be difficult. As long as it won't become common knowledge, I'm going to tell you about your parents. The look of shock on Naruto's face was priceless. He didn't expect getting it out of the man to be this easy. Walk with me. The Kage said as he stood up. Break. A few hours later and they were walking in the woods behind the Hokage monument. So my parents, they were one of the last Uzumaki and the fourth Hokage. Yes, their names are both on the memorial stone if you want to stop by there tomorrow. Their last wish, did you even tell anyone about it? Did you even try to tell the villagers what the Yondame's last wish was? Did you even try to stop this village's stupidity? I did, but they were blinded and would not listen to reason. Well, then that is not your fault. What is your fault though is how I have lived all my life. Naruto said, his voice taking on an ominous undertone. What do you mean? He asked even though he already had a feeling about what he was saying. My parents left me their house, accounts, and everything else. Yet I lived, getting barely enough to survive from you, in a small apartment that was constantly vandalized, and as I recall when I was 5 the old place I lived in was burnt down. I didn't have much of a problem with that last one, aside from the fact that I was still inside. If not for Itachi, I would be dead. His voice was getting darker and it made Sarutobi shudder. I want it all, Naruto said, shocking the Hokage. What do you mean? I mean I want my inheritance. All of it. You don't have a right to deny it from me anyways. You might have the power to do so, but not the right. It was left to me by my father and mother. If anything, I'm the only one in this world with the right to determine how the things are handled. Naruto, I don't think what you think no longer has much value to me. You have no right to say no, now I'll say it again. I want all of it. Fine, but I would request you don't start attracting attention. You promised you would keep it a secret. That I did. You see, this was my first test for you. That fact that it didn't take much to get this from you means you are trying to get back on my good side, or at the very least you still feel remorse at lying to me. This won't be my last test for you, but know that it will not be easy to get my trust back. I will simply change some things, but I do intend on using my new home. I'll move my own belongings. Don't bother trying to send people to help, it will only attract attention. I understand. I truly am sorry. He said as he pulled an envelope out of his robes and handed it to Naruto before he turned to walk away. For now, leaving Naruto to his own devices might be best. I'll talk to you later, old man. Naruto said before putting some distance between himself and the Hokage. Once he was alone, he quickly created 10 clones. Keep yourselves hidden, don't draw attention to yourselves. Other than that, you know what to do. He said before they disappeared. The envelope he had been given contained the location of his parents' home, which was not too far away from his current location, the key to said home, and forms needed to access that accounts that now belonged to him. All of the jutsu scrolls that his parents owned would be in his home. When he got there, he expected to find a mansion fitting for a Kage. While the home was large, it was smaller than expected. The home was 2 stories tall with a design like that of an ancient Japanese castle with white walls and black roofing. Inside were 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms not including the bathroom inside the master bedroom separated by a door, a large kitchen, an even larger living room, an even larger library, and a good-sized office, and a small walk-in closet that acted as a small armory. The walls had blades, kunai, shuriken, paper bombs, and Hiraishin kunai on the shelves. He could tell that it was little more than a storage closet for weapons, but it was still amazing. The 4 rooms had obvious uses. One was set up to be the room Naruto would have been in when he was born, 2 were guest bedrooms, and of course the master bedroom. The kitchen was completely void of food, but all the appliances and such were still there and looked to be completely untouched during the past 13 years. The living room had several couches and chairs, a few shelves with board games and books on it, and a screen that was projected on by the projector in the wall. It was like a miniature theater as the windows could be covered with curtains that blocked out the light. Deciding to get to the most important thing, he headed towards the library. The large, well-carved, mahogany double doors had beautifully carved and complex designs of 4 intertwined dragons blowing fire and doing what could almost be called a dance. This image entranced Naruto for a moment before he opened them to find a room that seemed much larger than it should have been. All across the walls and filling the room were shelves covered in books, scrolls, pictures, notes, and other items. The sight astounded Naruto. However, he was broken from his trance as the 10 clones had come in. "Boss, where do you want this?" the alpha clone asked. "Take food, water and such to the kitchen and put them in the appropriate place. Take everything else and follow me to the office," the real one said as he walked to the office where he would store everything else until he found a good place for them. He had still yet to check what he got from the Forbidden Scroll. "I don't intend on even using most of what's in that library until later. I will build my own strength for now. I might learn some of them over time, but for now it doesn't matter, alright, all but 5 of you. Be gone, or however I get rid of you. The spell works," said one of the clones before it dispelled along with 4 others. So I get their memories. Later I'm going to have to experiment with what I can do with these clones. Alright, you 5 that are left, go see what you can find on Kakashi Haddock. I want to know as much about him as possible. Also, get any information you can on the Uzumaki and their home. Don't bother taking the documents. Just read them. I'll know. But bring me the information you find of the Uzumaki. They clasped their right fists over their hearts and their left arms behind their backs in a salute they had created. Hi. They said in unison before taking off. Well, I could get used to this. Things are changing. But I think it's time I planned for something important. I say there's a 4 no make that 3% chance of it happening, but I never thought that the third would deceive me. I should plan for it just in case, he thought to himself before he took a folder and wrote one word, betrayal, on the first page and 2 words, winter contingency, on the cover before putting it down on his new desk. Things were definitely about to change. Naruto had only had the clones for around 30 hours, but already he was using them to their greatest ability. While he slept he had them reading over the information they had gathered on the Uzumaki. While the information they found on Kakashi before they returned was extremely interesting, the memories he woke up to were even more so. Izushi-Ogakure was the home of the Uzumaki clan and the hidden village of the Land of Whirlpools, and was also known as the Hidden Eddy Village or the village hidden by whirling tides. While Uzumaki was a common name on the large island that made up the Land of Whirlpools, only the Uzumaki clan that made up most of the population had the gift of longevity, as well as some of their other gifts. The clan were distant relatives of the Senju, and this had helped solidify their good ties with Konoha. Mito Uzumaki, who was a prime example of their long life, had been the wife of the Shodaime Hokage. It was right around the time that his mother was brought there that the Land of Whirlpools had been destroyed. There wasn't much more information there about it, but what interested Naruto the most was that sometime during the battle on the island, a seal was activated that dispersed a massive wave that for all intents and purposes killed everyone still on the island and around it before a dome-like barrier appeared and blocked off the massive island. However, a few of the Uzumaki clan were able to survive and scattered across the lands. He would have to see what he could find in the library later in order to see if it would help him. Who knows? Maybe his ancestral home could one day become truly important once again. For now it was time to head out. It was 2.5 hours after their sensei said to meet him, but he was sure that the man would take even longer than him. Besides, he would see him at the memorial stone he was going to stop by on the way. It was in the man's file. When he walked up to the memorial stone he instantly saw Kakashi. When he got close the man noticed him and turned around. "What are you doing here, Naruto? Aren't you supposed to be at the training ground? Did you really think that after your stunt yesterday I would believe you were late because you got lost on the road of life? Not likely. It's why I also ate breakfast. I'd rather puke than be too hungry to do whatever we are doing. Though I doubt that you were serious about it. Why, you surely are smarter than your file said. Alright, but why come here? I've never seen you here before." "Well, now that I'm a ninja it's time I started paying respect to those who gave me the chance to get this far. That is wise," Kakashi said as he noticed Naruto brushing over one name in particular. "Why are you brushing that name in particular, Naruto? He's the Yondaime. Without him getting rid of the Kyuubi I wouldn't be here and this village would have fallen a long time ago." He spoke calmly. "Alright, head over to the training ground. He'll be over there soon." "Sure," he said walking away. Just before he left he spoke. "Oh, and if you take more than 30 minutes to get over there I'm going to make you wish your habit was to be early." "Oh, and how are you going to back that up?" "Well, remember that time when all the Anbu couldn't stop scratching themselves?" "Yes," Kakashi responded, dreading where this was going. Itching powder in all of their bathing items, cloths including their underwear, and their masks. It was tricky but not difficult. Kakashi was now afraid. All of his cloths he could handle. But his masks? That would be trouble. Without trying to sound scared he tried to play it off. "Don't worry. He'll be there." Naruto smirked knowing he had hit a nerve when he mentioned the masks. "I'll be waiting," he said before he walked off. When he walked out of the bush and onto the training ground he heard aloud, "You're late. Sasuke and Sakura had gotten there 45 minutes ago." "Well, I'm here now. Sensei will be here within the next 30 minutes. He said." "How would you know that?" Sakura asked. "Call it intuition," Naruto said with a wicked grin. Before they could respond he put plugs into his ears to cancel the noise and opened his book. Later on, just before Naruto hit 30 minutes Kakashi walked out of the bushes. "You're late," Sakura yelled. Naruto sighed because he couldn't hurt Kakashi and Sasuke had gotten over it. "Well, my new team, it's time for your test," he said as he pulled out 2 bells and a clock. "Your task is to take these bells from me before noon. It's already 9 so let's hurry up. You have 3 hours. Whoever doesn't get a bell gets tied to a post while the rest of us eat. And you also fail, leading you to be sent back to the academy." "But sensei, there are only 2 bells," Sakura said. "Very astute. That is because at least one of you will fail." he said with another weird eye smile. All but Naruto were shocked. We're being played, Naruto thought to himself. Now the only job I have is to make the others see it. Get on with it. Naruto said. You sure sound cocky, Naruto. You're going to need to come at me with the intent to kill in order to beat me. You might be a Jonin, but I killed Mizuki team without much trouble. Fine, begin. The moment the words left his mouth, Sasuke and Sakura disappeared. Well, at least they have that down, he thought before he noticed Naruto still standing there. You know you should be hiding, right? No, I'm supposed to get those bells. Hiding from an enemy when I have a limited time to retrieve an object is counterproductive. Now, if I need to come at you with the intent to kill, then perhaps I should do what I did to kill Mizuki. He said before preforming a hand seal causing several hundred copies to appear. Didn't you think that's a bit much, Naruto? Kakashi asked. His only response was, hold him down. Instantly the clones rushed all at once. They were weaker clones, so I can actually do that. He's a Jonin, so it might not have mattered. That and his Sharingan. If he needs to, he will use it. Time to get going, he thought before taking off through the trees. While he was trying to find his teammates, his sensei had his hands full. For each clone he kicked away or punched in the face, another appeared. I can't use my kunai because I can't even tell which one is the real one. Crap, he thought before lifting his hit IA to reveal his Sharingan. What? Sasuke shouted in his mind. How does he have that? He's not an Uchiha. Who did he take that from? Back to the fight, Kakashi was freaking out. They all had the same amount of chakra. The Hokage told him that Naruto learned a new jutsu from the scroll, but something like this was purely unheard of. Not to mention the sheer number of them had to be impossible. However, Kakashi didn't have time to think as he focused on dispelling the clones. He quickly kicked one in the face before picking one up by the arm and using it to knock away 5 others. While Kakashi had his hands full, Naruto was about to get Sasuke to help him. Hey there, Sasuke. Naruto said, looking over the Uchiha's shoulder. Said Uchiha nearly had a heart attack. Naruto, he said, clutching where his heart was. What the hell are you doing here? Aren't you out there? 300 clones and you thought I would be among them? No, I'm here to tell you the true purpose of this test. What do you mean the true purpose? We were already promoted. That's why we have these hit I8. This is a test. I believe they are testing our ability to work together. So what, if we fail we aren't going back to the academy? No, that part is true. We just need to complete the actual test. Not the spell crap. But to do that we need to get Haruno and make our whole team. Understand? What if you are lying to make sure you get a bell? If I was, do you think I would need you? I could make more clones. Even if I did need you, would you rather work with me or Haruno? You stand everything to gain from working with me. Look at him. I might take him down before time runs out, but do you honestly think you can say the same? Look at him. That is Kakashi Haddock of the Sharingan. The man who copied 1000 jutsu. I'll tell you what I know later, but for now I need you to help me. Can you do that? Sasuke nodded. He didn't have much choice. Naruto made too good a point. Good, now let's find Haruno. More than half the clones are gone, so we don't have much time. Naruto said as they took off to look for the pink-haired girl. By the time they found her, the clones were down to 70. However, with Sasuke there, it wasn't hard to convince her to join. Now all that was left was to plan how to take down Haddock. Naruto took care of that. Once they were done with it, they quickly surrounded Kakashi as he finished the last clone. Well, they only have 20 minutes left. Not long. But just that one put me to work. I almost can't breathe, he thought as he was breathing heavily. However, he didn't have much time to rest before he heard someone yell, Kaiten. Fireball jutsu. It was not hard for Kakashi to decide he should move. As he went to move to his right away from the nearby river, Shuriken came flying at him from the woods, forcing him to move closer to the river. But while he was still in the air, 25 Naruto clones came out of the water and jumped him. He quickly escaped by using the Kawarimi to replace himself with a clone. He didn't expect them all to instantly stop fighting and stand up. Well, you lose, sensei. One of the clones said before they all dispelled. Before Kakashi could respond, her heard clapping and turned around to see Naruto with the bells at his right hip. When he looked down, his own were gone. Well, Naruto, you win. There are still a few seconds for you to make sure one of the others get a bell. You and I both know that was never the purpose of this test. Come on out. Naruto yelled before Sasuke and Sakura came out of the trees with a smirk and a confident smile respectively. Alright team, fine, you pass. You were able to see that the true purpose of the test was teamwork. This is important because anyone who breaks the rules are trash. But I'm here to tell you that those who abandon their teammates are worse than trash. Now, meet me here tomorrow and we shall begin training and taking missions. It didn't take long for his team to leave him there. Well, that Naruto really is different from the report I got. He is smart, strong, and quick to act. He used those clones as a distraction before gathering his team and convincing them to work with each other. Once he did that, he had Sasuke and Sakura push me to the river where his clones jumped me. While I was distracted and before I could replace myself, he came from behind the tree and took the bells. The moment I got out the clone stopped because I had already lost. This will be interesting. Break. It was now 3 days after the bell test and Naruto was tired from a day of D-rank missions. He hated to admit it, but Shikamaru was right. They were troublesome. However, he was now on his way to Ichiraku's to eat with and talk to his friends. When he got there they were already waiting on him and had ordered for him. "Naruto, you finally made it. How are things going with your team?" Anko asked. "Fine. However, I almost killed that cat," was his response. "Yeah, you and everyone else in this village," Hinata said, holding her head as if just talking about that cat brought on a migraine. Instantly the others followed suit. "Well, when we're done here there's something you need to know," Naruto said. He was trying to suppress his laughter. Ichiraku ramen, Naruto-sized meal equals 450 ryo. The amount Sasuke pays Naruto to help him hide from fangirls equals 5500 ryo per week. Their faces when he tells them about his parents priceless. "What is it, Naruto?" Shino asked. "I'll tell you when we're done. All 4 of us are going for a walk. Whatever, once we get done he pays for all of our diners and then tells us and it fine," Anko said, smirking. "Let's slow down Anko, I can barely afford my own food," Naruto said trying to sound pathetic even though he knew he had the almost bottomless account of the Yondaime Hokage. "Why do I get the feeling I'm going to want to kill you later?" Anko asked, pulling out her wallet. "Trust me, you would miss me too much." "He has a point," Shino said. Break. Naruto was now standing in front of his friends with his arms stretched to the side theatrically in his library, watching his friends gawk at what they were seeing and what they had just learned. "So how long have you known that you were the inheritor of one of the greatest legacies of the shinobi world?" Anko forced herself to speak. 4 days ago. "And how about that, your faces are priceless," Naruto responded as he started chuckling. "Naruto, do you realize that with this and your Kage Bunshin you could learn all of this within the next couple of years?" Hinata asked. "Of course. However, I have decided to leave most of what's in here alone for the time being." "Why would you do that?" Anko nearly yelled. "Are you insane?" "No. However, if I were to start learning things from the library of the Yellow Flash, it might draw attention. I can't afford that right now. I do intend on learning some of these things over time, but if I learned enough I wouldn't be able to stop myself from using it and it would expose who I am. And besides, I already told the third that I would keep this in my inner circle. I can't have this getting out." "He does have a point," Shino said. While the Hiraishin and the Rasengan were his signature jutsu, there were many techniques for which the Yondaime was known for. Granted, your Kage Bunshin were also used by him. They were also created by the Nidaime and used by a few people. However, I'm sure that on the scale Naruto uses them, not many will be thinking about the Yondaime's use of them. Yes, even though others use them, like Jiraiya of the Sannin uses the Rasengan and the Nidaime Tobirama invented the Hiraishin, it would still stand out if another person used these. They aren't exactly easy to hide. That, and the Hiraishin would take a long time to learn, even for me. The only people who the Yondaime ever taught this jutsu need to focus together to use it. Their knowledge is worthless when they are separated and don't have the time to get into position. "That's so, what are you going to do now?" Hinata asked. "I'm going to ask that you all take this secret to your graves unless I die or tell you it's fine. This, my friends, is the mark that I truly trust you. You have stayed with me even when I revealed my curse. I have looked into your eyes and seen only that you are my friends and I can count on you. Now, tomorrow I intend to get my first C rank, so I must say good night because I'm going to need my rest and goodbye in case I don't see you before I leave." "How would you know you're going to get a C rank?" Shino asked. "You have only been on duty for 3 days. Because, other than tomorrow, if I have to catch that cat one more time I'm going to use its pelt to make a new cap. Now, good night," Naruto said as they left. Break. Good, that's another one done for today. Now let's see here. We have painting a fence, catching Tor the cat. No more will I catch that stupid cat. If I have to do it again I'll use its pelt to make a cap. The Hokage knew he was serious. "How about you stop with the chores and give us a real mission? Naruto, you can't just demand a C rank. You've only been a genin for 4 days. No Iruka." Naruto here took down a Chunin on his own. "If he thinks his team is ready then let's give it to him. Come on in," the Hokage said as Iruka tried to protest. The client who walked in was Tazuna. The man was obviously on his way to being drunk. "What's this? A scarecrow, a duck-haired emo, a fangirl, and a runt. What king of protection is this?" Naruto was the first to speak. "The kind that can still kill you before you can blink in 32 different ways and still have time to keep your hat from touching the floor." The bridge builder shuddered before remembering that they couldn't touch him, they were his protection. "Look here kid, your job is to protect me until my bridge is complete. You understand that? Oh so my C rank is to protect a drunk bridge builder from, what, the Alcoholics Anonymous?" You could see the sparks flying as they glared at each other. That is Super Bridge Builder to you, and you will be protecting me from bandits and thieves. Meet me at the south gate in 1 hour. The Super Bridge Builder said as he walked out the door. Well, for meeting the client of my first C rank that was really anticlimactic. Naruto said, causing everyone to facepalm at his remark. Break. It was time for Naruto to make good on his word and help Sasuke. Naruto had long ago figured out what Itachi meant due to Sasuke's behavior. They still had 45 minutes before they had to meet the bridge builder, and Naruto was going to use them. Sasuke was currently standing on one of the many roofs of Konoha, and Naruto walked up next to him as he was finally noticed. What do you want, Ol? Only to talk. We are on the same team now, so I may as well go ahead and get it over with. No, just because we are on the same team does not mean we need to talk. All you need to do is stay out of my way. Had I stayed out of your way you would have failed the bell test. Naruto taunted. GRR. Is there something specific you want? Sasuke said, getting angry. Look Sasuke, we're going to need to work together in the near future, so we might as well get to know each other. Besides, as much as I hate to admit it, the client was right. You do act broody. Shut up. What do you know of it? I had everything taken from me. I need to get stronger and I don't need your stupidity getting in my way. Do you think you and I are so different? You and I both know the pain of being alone. Our pain is nothing alike. I had everything ripped away from me, by my own brother no less. You never had anything. You don't know my pain. How we wound up alone is important, but we both know its sting. Besides, I could one day know your pain. That pain of losing everything. But what you fail to realize is that you could never know my pain. You were right, I never had anything. You at least knew your family. I will never have that luxury. My pain will always remain unknown to you. Naruto's words shocked Sasuke. He had never thought of it like that. When he looked at Naruto he had always seen someone who at least didn't know the pain of losing everything, someone who could never know his pain. But in reality, it was the other way around. Now that I have opened your eyes to how wrong you truly were, what will you do? Naruto said just before he took off. He needed to pack a scroll. He couldn't help shaking the feeling that this trip was going to be important. Break. They had been walking along their road for a while now and had yet to run into trouble. While Naruto and Sakura was walking on Tezuna's sides, Kakashi was walking in the back and Sasuke was walking ahead well deep in though. As they walked past a puddle, the only two who took note of it were Naruto and Kakashi. They said nothing as they passed, deciding to let it play out, but Naruto gave Kakashi a small hidden signal. Once they were past, the two brothers hiding in the Jinjutsu, Maizu and Gozu, emerged getting ready to attack. They quickly took down Kakashi with a chain between their gauntlets. One down. They said at the same time. 4 to go. They shouted as they rushed Naruto. Before they got to close, Naruto quickly made several dozen clones. Ha! You think those will stop us? They continued rushing, shrugging off their surprise at seeing this jutsu that had not been used by many since the Yondaime, used on such a scale. They quickly tore through them before stabbing Naruto in the stomach. Ah! Naruto yelled with pain on his face. The missing nin were about to continue before Naruto instantly stopped and looked at them smiling. Gotcha. He said before dispersing. Bunshin, they yelled before everything went black. In reality, while they tore through the clones, the real one had a clone stand where he was and snuck behind them to knock them out from behind. As Naruto tied them up to a tree, Kakashi came out of the trees, shocking all but Naruto as the others looked to a torn up log. Good job, Naruto. Kakashi said with another weird eye smile. Same to you as well, Sasuke and Sakura. Your immediate reaction was to guard Tazuna in the event that Naruto failed. Good thinking. However, he turned serious as he looked at Tazuna. Why were they after you? What do you mean? Tazuna asked nervously, trying to play it off. They took me out, but none of you are of any importance to actually go after. Naruto saw the desperation in the man's eyes. He took pity. Kakashi, perhaps the fact that we are ninja showed that Tazuna has money. You need money to hire ninja. That, and even ninja get decent wages just for deer ranks. Killing all of us would be a good take for any bandits. These ones simply bit off more than they could chew and acted arrogantly. There is no reason to blame Tazuna for their stupidity. Tazuna visibly relaxed. Yes, that must be it. Of course, Naruto, that must be it. Kakashi said with another eye smile. So, you're taking pity on him. I hope you know what you're doing, Naruto. Any mistake could get us killed. These were missing nin. Not to mention that they were last seen with Zabuza. I have a bad feeling. Alright, well, I'll send a messenger bird to tell Konoha that these two are here. Let's keep moving. When they were gone, a dark figure emerged from the forest. The figure wore a dark, black, and tattered cloak that covered the figure's features, keeping anything about him from being seen. The figure walked up to the two tied up missing nin. After crouching down in front of them, the figure took off their masks to reveal scared faces. The gloved hand emerged from his right sleeve and reached into a hidden pocket. When his hand came back out, it held a small vial filled with a grayish liquid and a stopper on it. After removing the stopper, he waved the vial in front of their noses. No reaction. After stoppering the vial and putting it back away, the figure spoke. "Wake up." His voice was slightly deeper than usual. It was calm yet carried an air of commanded authority. It had a quality that was not soft but fluid, yet he spoke like a man who had conquered places before and was not afraid to do it again. However, there was still no reaction. Sigh. He grabbed Mizu by the collar of his shirt with his right hand and his left emerged before the palm position just in front of his face. In quick succession slapped him back and forth across the face. It didn't take long before the man was awake. What's going on? One moment. The figure said before doing the same to Gozu. Once he was awake, he had a similar reaction to his brother. Once they were awake, the figure moved their masks back over their faces. "Who are you?" Gozu asked. "That depends on you." "What do you mean?" This time from Mizu. "First off, only one of you will talk. Choose now." The two brothers shared a look before Gozu spoke up. "I'll speak for us. Good. Now, depending on how you respond to the things I say, I will either be the man who leaves you here to be taken by Konoha Recovery Ninja, or I will be your new employer." "Why?" "Because you have been able to alive for this long with just you two and Zabuza. I respect the fact that this means you are not weak. I have other reasons, but for now all you need to know is that I would like you to join me. And if we refuse, I leave you here, tied to a tree." Once again the brothers shared a look. "Will we learn more about what you need us for once we join you?" "Of course. And as payment for loyalty, I will help you do what got you branded missing Nin. I'll help you finish the war in Kiri. I want it to end as well. Having you on my side fits my interests. When can we expect your help in that matter?" "The war won't end anytime soon without my intervention. I promise that my intervention will end it a great deal sooner." "How do we know you don't mean to help the Mizukage?" "Because his mind is currently not his own, and the man who controls him is a man I want dead." They could hear his voice take on an undertone that promised death to those who crossed him. Once again they shared a look. This time, however, they took longer and could be heard whispering to each other. However, it did not take long before they both looked at the figure. "We accept our new employment." The figure pulled out a small blade and positioned it to cut their bindings. "Are you sure?" "I will not tolerate cowards or traitors." He spoke ominously. The two brothers quickly nodded before the figure cut the ropes. He smiled. Good. Naruto was currently sitting in a clearing near Tazuna's home. During the fight with Zabuza, Naruto had allowed Sasuke to take point and they worked together to free Kakashi. Once he was out of the water prison, he proceeded to fight Zabuza before incapacitating him against a tree. That was when the false hunter Nin showed up and took him. After he woke up, Kakashi revealed how the hunter Nin had to be fake because of him taking the body instead of destroying it. Now that Kakashi could not travel, it was not difficult to convince the group that all that was left was to finish the job, even though it was now an A rank. This was also because the others took pity once the situation in Wave was explained. When Kakashi could walk with crutches, he took them out to train in tree walking so they could stand a better chance by proceeding in their advancement. After a day of this, Sasuke and Naruto had only made it halfway up the tree, but Naruto had stayed behind while the others went back to eat supper. Now with Naruto sitting in this clearing that was only lit by the dim light provided by the moon on a night without clouds, Naruto starts to truly train. I didn't take long for the clearing to be full of Naruto's clones. Alright, pick a tree and start climbing. We are short on time and I want this done as quickly as possible. The original spoke before the clones all took off. While the clones were training for him, he pulled a scroll from his pocket and unsealed it to find a small stack of scrolls containing jutsu. Naruto already knew which one he was grabbing as he took one from the stack and opened it. Naruto had 2 jutsu on his list that were mandatory to learn. One was the Shunshin. The other was not really a jutsu so much as a technique left behind by his ancestors. From what little information there was about the technique before how to actually use it, not many had ever actually been confirmed to use this ability. In all reality, it was like a Kekkei Genkai that was usually never unlocked. While it had emerged and some few ever actually used it or even had the ability to. However, for some reason any of the Uzumaki clan who was the container of the Kyuubi had been able to use it. Some believed it was because of their necessity should the beast ever escape. However, for the time being he put that one to the side, believing that for now he shouldn't use it and therefore learning was only a distraction he didn't need right now. He opened his scroll for the Shunshin and started practicing. It was not a difficult jutsu to learn. Mastering it was another matter altogether. It put strain on the body that could only come from moving at such speeds for too long. However, due to his vast chakra reserves, learning it took time, but while mastering it would take time he could use it adequately for the time being. It wasn't until he could use it though that he realized he heard someone calling his name. Looking around he realized that he had been doing this all night and most of the morning. Not wanting to be caught he dispersed all of the clones still active. Crap, that hurts. I'm going to need to learn how to moderate my brain's intake of the memories all at once, he thought to himself as the rest of his team came into the clearing. Have you been training all night, Naruto? Kakashi asked. Yes. We are limited on time. I can rest when it gets closer to the time Zabuza will come back. But for now I need to get as much done as I can. Well, that definitely seems important, but did your night of no sleep yield results? Of course. Naruto responded before walking up to a tree and proceeding up it as if he was simply taking a morning walk. Well, that didn't take long. Sasuke should get it by the end of the day. Naruto, are you familiar with the water walking technique? It would seem you and Sakura are ahead, so I can teach it to you. Kakashi said. He needed to build them as fast as he could. Naruto was right, there was not a whole lot of time. I have heard of it. However, I must say no, I have other things to take care of. Naruto replied before taking off. Sensei, what was Naruto talking about? Sakura spoke up. I'm not too sure myself, but I'm sure he will be fine. Kakashi replied. In reality, he was worried. He knew next to nothing about this student Naruto, but here he was with a boy under his command. He needed to talk to the third about this if they made it back. Break. It had been a few days since Zabuza had escaped and Naruto was not resting. While the others were learning the water walking technique, he was sleeping in a small clearing. He had exhausted himself last night from experimenting with his clones and their abilities. While he had some of the continuing to practice with the Shunshin, he was working on controlling how much he could alter the clones and what he could make them do. He discovered that so long as they didn't take much damage, then they could even bleed. For a moment before he passed out, he had been working on something else as well, but could no longer maintain it before losing consciousness. However, that was at the moment irrelevant as a hand was shaking him awake. When he opened his eyes, he saw someone there that was androgynous in appearance. You could catch a cold if you stayed out here like this. Who are you? I'll tell you that if you help me pick these herbs. Break. Thank you for helping out. My name is Haku. It was no problem, and my name is Naruto. So what are you doing out here so early? I'm training. I see, so are you a ninja? Yes. So why are you training? You look strong already. Because I need to become stronger. I must train so that I can one day become respected by my village and gain the acknowledgement that has no long been denied me. I will make my village see who I truly am. Tell me, do you have someone important to you? Naruto did not miss the look in her eye. When someone has something to protect, that is when they become truly strong. I know what you mean. I do have people that I will one day fight beside. And if the need ever arises, I will be there to protect them. My friends. Naruto sighed. May I ask you a question? Haku looked at him in confirmation. I ask because I would like it if you don't overreact to what I am about to say. His response was a nod. What you said about becoming strong through having something to protect, is that why you helped Zabuza? Naruto's response was Haku stiffening. He was trying to hear what Naruto said before taking action. How did you know? My life has not been completely pleasant. Over the years my hearing become good enough for me to tell what board in my home had how much pressure. I recognized your voice. He nodded. So what do we do now? I would like to talk. Why? Another thing I developed over time is the ability to see certain things in people's eyes. When I mentioned acknowledgement, your eyes displayed something similar to longing. When you talked about having something to protect, I saw you go over a memory. I saw the sadness in your eyes. Your past has not been kind to you either. Then what do you want to talk about exactly? Well, first I would like to know what brought you to this point. What happened to you? His response was for Haku to hold his hand in front of him with the palm upwards. In his hand formed a small shard of ice. My Kakashi Genkai brought me to this point. Haku said before telling about the bloodline purge, how he killed his father after he watched the death of his mother, and how Zabuza eventually found him. He told of how Zabuza had taken care of him since he found him. So, that is what that look of longing in your eyes was. What do you mean? You say that you are nothing more than Zabuza's tool. But that look of admiration, Kuringi would almost say you see him more as a father. That longing was the longing for returned emotion. You wish that Zabuza saw you as family the way you see him. No, that's not, he tried to protest. You already gave yourself away. You might not have even realized it before, but I can see it. How can you know what you're talking about? Because I have seen much the same look in my own eyes many times before. That look of longing for someone to actually care for you. His face hardened. So, what do you intend to do now that you know my story? How would you like to hear mine? Why would you do that? Why would you not kill me when I was asleep? You knew I would be your enemy, but you didn't. I did it because I have not yet gotten rid of my humanity. I will tell you my story because I have not yet gotten rid of mine. There will be some parts I can't tell you, seeing as it would bring me no end of trouble if I told you, but I can tell you some of it. It took time, but Naruto explained his story. How he had been attacked, how people had always hated him, how he had eventually found friends he could trust, and even how he had come to learn about his family and why he was hated. What he left out was the part about who his parents were, the Kyuubi, and the fact that the grandfather figure he got the information from was the Hokage. Now, what will you do now that you know my story? I don't know. Perhaps you should take my words to heart. You and I are a lot alike. We simply turned out different due to different circumstances. So, I would like it if you gave me the chance to get Zabuza to stop this madness. What do you mean? I mean that if he continues down this path there is a strong chance that you two will die. That, and I believe that any time but now you and I could be friends. Haku smiled. You truly are different. An enemy stands here and you are trying to make friends out of them. I will try to give you a chance. Thank you. And besides, every friend I have is one less person against me. It is also one more person for me to stand beside. Naruto said as he stood up. By the way, could you tell me how much time I have? Why? I won't tell anyone, I just want to know how long I have to figure out what I'm doing to do. Besides, I also want to make Zabuza my friend. Why would you want to do that? Because he is not a bad person. He tried to end a massacre in Mizuno Kuni. I'm interested in the person that would give up his home to try and end something they thought was wrong. I am taking a gamble on you, Naruto. I hope I can trust you. We will be making our move in 2 days. Do you honestly think you can help us? Of course. Now, it's time for me to go. I have one last thing to do and not a whole lot of time. Haku nodded as Naruto disappeared. Things were going to get much more interesting in 2 days. Break. At night the team and family were sitting down at the table eating. Tazuna was asking about how they were going to handle Zabuza when someone spoke up. You're all fools. There is no way you can win. Inari said. Their first night there Tazuna had told them about Kaiza. What did you say? Sakura asked. I said that you are all fools. There is no way you can beat Gato. You're all going to die. Shut up kid. Naruto said. Of course we will. I have a few things I need to do before I die. Shut up, you don't know anything. He's going to kill you just like he did the last hero. Hahaha. Naruto shouted. I can see exactly what you're thinking. It's written all over your face. You think that heroes are meaningless if they die. But in all reality it is sometimes the ones that die who mattered the most. You know, our village once was attacked by a monster. Our 4th Hokage managed to defeat it and is still called a hero to this day. Only problem is that he died that day. If you think a hero that dies was worthless then you are an idiot. He won because he knew, understood and accepted one crucial and irrefutable fact. He accepted that he was going to die and still fought because of this fact. This fact is that someone who can't sacrifice anything can never change anything. What would you know, he actually succeeded. The last hero failed and left us alone. That's not true. Naruto said, shocking Inari. His death caused you to say these words that have inspired me. He did not fail. He succeeded in passing on the torch to you, Inari. Now I know for a fact that I will stop Zabuza, and Naruto said, his voice suddenly darker. I will kill Gato. To say everyone was shocked by his words was an understatement. Before they could respond he left. Break. The day that Zabuza was supposed to return Naruto had 2 clones stay at the house just in case. Granted, no one knew about them. However, currently Naruto and Sasuke were trapped inside a dome of ice mirrors. When they had first been trapped in there Naruto had given a small signal used to ask for confirmation. His response was a small, barely noticeable nod. Haku proceeded to start the fight by flashing from mirror to mirror throwing senbon at them. While the fight was meant to not overly harm Naruto, he was not going easy. In order to keep up appearances Naruto kept trying to help Sasuke escape from the dome by creating as many clones as he could at one time in the small space and having them run to the edge of the barrier or guard Sasuke. However, in order to help keep Sasuke out of the way Haku used his senbon to knock him out for now. Don't worry, I only incapacitated him to keep him out of our way. Haku responded to Naruto's questioning look. Alright, now if I'm not mistaken here soon Kakashi will try to end it. That is when we shall intervene. And how shall you convince Zabuza that being your friend will be beneficial to him? Before he could answer Naruto closed his eyes in contemplation. One of my clones just dispelled. I was going to use emotion to get through to him and still might. But I managed to get some valuable information. I'll tell you when it comes up. Alright, I'll continue to trust you. Think time's up. Cancel this jutsu. Our time to intervene is here. Haku nodded and cancelled the ice mirrors. When their vision cleared Kakashi was about to plunge his legendary Rikiri into Zabuza's chest. Zabuza. Haku panicked and shunshined in front of Zabuza to shield him. Kakashi was instantly filled with remorse at what he was about to do. However, it was too late to stop. But then he started to panic at what happened next. Naruto had also panicked and shunshined in front of Haku to stop Kakashi. Kakashi was panicking. He was about to kill his student. He couldn't stop. Kakashi was shocked at what happened next to say the least. Naruto reached up and took it as the Rikiri went into his hand and tore into his arm before Kakashi stopped moving. Naruto started grinning. What do you know it worked? Crap, this hurts, but it worked. Naruto got out before he moved and pulled away his now useless arm. He started to chuckle. Haku, you really forced my hand there, I won't lie. But I cannot believe that actually worked. Well, what amazes me even more is that I'm still here. I guess that it worked. He ground out before dispelling in a cloud of smoke. It took all of a second before they heard someone start to scream in pain. When they all looked towards where Haku and Naruto had come from, they saw Naruto kneeling on the ground, gripping his arm like it would disappear when he loosened his grip. Biggest downside to shadow clones, who growled as he forced himself to stand, is that any trauma they experience returns to the user with their memories. This does not include the physical damage, but it still hurts. He grimaced now that he was standing. The pain was starting to fade. He was used to some physical pain, and it tended to disperse relatively quickly for him. Those idiots back in the village were useful for something. Hey Zabuza. I need to talk to you when this is all over, but first release your hidden mist technique and you will find what I'm about to tell you to be truth. Gato is here. He never intended on paying you. As a matter of fact, he is actually here to kill you. What? How would you know that? Zabuza yelled. I had 2 clones stay back at Tizuna's. Gato sent 2 thugs to take them hostage. When my clones questioned them, one dispersed. I got the information telling me that Gato is on his way here right now. So I think it is safe to say that you don't need to kill Tizuna anymore. However, when this is all over I would like to talk to you. Do you understand? Fine, I owe you that much. Since I'm not wounded I still have the energy to kill the midget. Sorry Zabuza, that will be my privilege, I already made a promise on that. Whatever, how about we just leave it to the one who gets him first? Deal. Kakashi finally decided to get in on the conversation. Naruto, what is going on? I will explain all the details later Kakashi, but for now Zabuza is not our enemy. Kakashi nodded. Hey, Zabuza said. You will be filling me in on those details too. You can do it during this talk. Zabuza continued while releasing his technique. While he was doing that, Sakura was trying to figure out what the hell was going on while keeping the bridge builder out of the way. Kakashi decided to do what he had done since this mission started, just go with it and ask the Sandaime later, before getting into his battle position. Zabuza decided to do something similar to what Kakashi had done. Finally, while Naruto was walking up to join them, Haku looked at him giving a nod and also getting into position. When the mist cleared it was still semi-misty due to the natural mist. However, the group was still able to see Gato and a small army of thugs. Gato was in disbelief when the mist cleared to show that they were ready for him instead of killing each other. Zabuza, what are you doing? You're supposed to be taking care of them. From what I know those thugs behind you are for me. You never intended to pay me. Gato smirked. Correct. You cost too much. I paid all of them total the amount you were demanding. And I'll get the same results. Kill them. Within a second of those words leaving Gato's mouth, Naruto was upon them with Zabuza, Haku, and Kakashi following suit. Naruto quickly drew his kunai and aimed for their legs and arms. He killed Mizuki, but he was not ready to just start killing anyone in his way. He quickly dodged a sword that was coming down towards his head and cut the man's forearm before knocking him out. While Naruto was doing this, Kakashi and Zabuza were not holding back as they quickly ripped apart the thugs without mercy, and Haku paralyzed them with his senbon. However, it was Naruto who in the midst of the fighting, got to Gato first. The man started to panic as Naruto approached him and took the small blade out of his cane. Naruto made short work of disarming the man. Gato decided to play his trump card. Money. Wait, I can give you money, anything you want, just let me go. Not today. I already promised that I would kill you. I'll make this quick. Gato tried to crawl away, but before he could Naruto gabbed his head. It took all of 2 seconds as Naruto grimaced from the snap of Gato's neck. He had only done it twice, but this was the worst part he could imagine about life. The fact that he would have to kill in the future. The thought almost made him throw up. It didn't take long before the others incapacitated or killed the rest of the thugs, but once they did they quickly noticed Naruto leaning over Gato's body. When they got closer to him he spoke up. Alright, Kakashi and Zabuza, I will explain everything after I wake up. My arm is killing me. He got out before collapsing. Break. When Naruto woke up he found himself in an unfamiliar room with Kakashi sitting next to him. How long have I been out and where are we? All day yesterday. It's morning. And Tizuna was happy Zabuza no longer wanted to kill him but still wanted to keep his distance. So we are currently in Zabuza's hotel room because Zabuza insisted, and I quote, I want answers about what the hell happened from the kid the moment he wakes up. Alright, let me sit up and I'll talk to them. Once he was sitting up he looked around and didn't see Zabuza. Where are they? Zabuza is raiding the free breakfast bar and Haku is trying to keep the management from kicking him out over eating all of their food. Alright, understandable. Naruto said before the door burst open and Zabuza ran through it carrying a large stack of mini muffins and eggs. Haku, quick, close the door. Zabuza yelled. For a free breakfast buffet they get angry once you eat enough. Naruto and Kakashi sweat dropped at the troubles Zabuza had started. Alright, sit down Zabuza. I guess it's time I explain what happened. Naruto proceeded to explain how he had talked to Haku and they had planned to stop the fighting because he knew that one or both of the duo would die. It was at this point when Zabuza had explained that Haku had already talked with him about how he viewed Zabuza somewhat as a father figure. Zabuza went on to explain how he had told Haku he didn't know how to respond and had to think. So now what? Zabuza asked. We aren't trying to kill each other. Are we friends? Do we want to go back to the bridge and finish our fight? That is a great question. Naruto. Kakashi asked. He was looking at Naruto trying to once again do what he had done all mission, defer to Naruto's judgment on what he didn't feel like getting a migraine over. Well, my main goal with all of this was to get another few friends out of this. We have no more reason to fight. They all shared a look. They had their answer. Well, from what I can tell, you left Mizu no Kuni because of the purge, correct? Yes. I tried to kill the Mizukage to stop what he was doing. Well, for now I suggest you lay low here for now. Most everyone who knew you were here are dead or we can ask them to keep quiet. I already have some thoughts I can discuss with you later. What do you mean? Naruto looked at Kakashi. First, Kakashi, what happened to Sasuke and Sakura while I was out? They are staying at Izuna's. Sasuke is still unconscious. He should wake up soon though. Would you do me a favor and go check on them for me? Ask them not to talk to anyone about Zabuza. Kakashi already knew what was going on. He was not supposed to be a part of this conversation. Sure. Kakashi responded before leaving. Alright, Zabuza said, what's this all about? The answer is simple. Give me some time and I can help you out with finishing the war as Mizu. How would you do that? You can't get close to where you need to be without some help. Give me some time and I should be able to give you that help. How long are you asking us to wait? I don't know yet. Stay here, help these people recover, get them to accept you. I do promise that I will help you. However, I'm not sure when yet. I'm sure that it will take at least another year before I can do that. A year? You want us to wait that long? Look at me. I couldn't even stay standing after yesterday. Give me time. I'm sure that at this point I'm one of the few people who you can trust. Just give me the time to do it. Trust me and you will eventually see the results yourself. You're fine, but don't expect me to just sit still. But don't draw attention to yourself. Kid, I have to ask, how do you know that you can help us? What are you hiding? That will be revealed in time. But for now I can't tell you that. Fine. But I will find out one day. Break. It had been a few months since their grand exit from Wave and things for Naruto were advancing quickly. He had gone on several missions and due to them interchanging teams a few times to help with teamwork when they had to make do with who was available, Naruto had even gone on a few missions with Hinata, Shino, and Anko. Over the past few months Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke had gotten closer together. This was mainly because on one mission in particular they had shared a near-death experience and bonded over it. Over time Naruto had gotten stronger. He had learned the family legacy he had with him in Wave and had even gone so far as to learn a few spare jutsu. He had convinced Kakashi to teach him the double suicide decapitation jutsu and had been able to learn some other jutsu that were not particularly special. Granted, he did keep most of his learning secret so as not to draw attention to himself. While he knew that using it would bring no end of trouble, he had started to learn his father's Hiraishin because he knew that two clones working on the technique would take a long time to figure it out and therefore didn't worry about it too much. Another thing he had done was that he had started to train in the Kenjutsu scrolls in his family's library. He had found his mother's blade sealed in a scroll. The blade of the katana itself was green with a black line up both sides just above where the actual edge started. The guard was a black Japanese dragon wrapped around itself with small emeralds in the eyes. The pommel was a small gold plating that held another emerald at the tip. Finally the handle of the sword was a contradiction to everything else the blade had been, as it was a deep crimson with the wide outline of another dragon curled around the handle. The blade was beautiful and was matched by the diagrams, katas, and practicing instructions Naruto found, as they depicted the fluid movements of those who wielded and had mastered the art of Kenjutsu. As things currently stood, Naruto's work and skills with the blade had grown to be good, but far from great and even further from perfect. He had also started looking at some of the information from the Scroll of Seals and realized he had made a good choice in taking its contents. Mizuki most likely was not the first to try and steal it, nor would he be the last. At least it was not as dangerous as it was before. It was amazing, the things he found. In the list of things from the Nidaime there were even notes on his Ito Tensei. It was quite obvious why the scroll was forbidden. But for Naruto things were moving quickly enough for him. His sensei had told them that he had registered them for the Chunin exams. Now all they had to do was sign the forms he gave them. Yes, things were moving along nicely. He was currently on his way to a dango shop to meet with his friends when he heard someone yelling. Once he got closer he realized that Konohamaru was being held in the air by a boy by the name of Kankuro. Naruto had met Konohamaru before. He had talked some sense into the boy about what it was to truly be seen as himself and not as his grandfather. He also saw Sakura standing there trying to get Kankuro to let Konohamaru go, but with no success. When Naruto walked up he instantly made the effort to scare said sand ninja. Wow, I have never met someone who wanted to start a war before. What do you mean? Kankuro's sister Temari asked. Well, that is the Hokage's grandson you have there. Naruto said with a smirk. The two sand ninja were now nervous to say the least. Well, let's not jump to conclusions. Kankuro said. He was sweating profusely all of a sudden as he put the boy down. Said boy quickly hid behind Naruto who started to chuckle. Calm down. I doubt it will start a war so long as no one makes a big deal about it. And I won't make a big deal about it. Naruto said, trying to ease the tension. However, the tension came back in full force when a red head jumped out of a nearby tree. Gaara, how long have you been here? Kankuro, Temari. You two are a disgrace to the village. Gaara said not giving them a chance to respond before he turned to Naruto. Who are you? I could ask the same. My name is Gaara and these are my siblings Kankuro and Temari. We are from the Hidden Sand and are here from the Chunin exams. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, I live here in Konoha and will also be participating in the Chunin exams. Naruto responded. Gaara gave a small nod. Perhaps I will see you there. He said before turning and leaving with his siblings. The way they looked at him. Their own brother. There was fear there. Fear and sadness. I have to wonder Naruto thought to himself before saying goodbye to Sakura and Konohamaru and leaving. He was headed back home. Some things needed to be prepared. Break. The Hokage at that moment was also headed to Naruto's home. He needed to talk to the boy. When he got there though, Naruto was not there. The Sandaime thought he might be somewhere and decided to look for him. The last place the Hokage got to was the office. To say that the old man was surprised would have been understatement. Well, there were papers everywhere, they were organized. However, on the desk there were 4 folders. Each one had something different on the cover. Spring Contingency, Summer Contingency, Autumn Contingency, and Winter Contingency. Contingency? What would he be needing to plan for that he needs a contingency? The third asked while picking up the folder labeled Autumn. When he flipped through it though some of what he saw shocked him. Why would he need this? He thought as he put it down and picked up the winter folder. His reaction was similar. Many of the pages were blank. This particular contingency was incomplete. But when he got to the final page there was only one sentence that truly terrified the Hokage. He couldn't react before he heard the door close behind him. As he spun around he dropped the folder and saw Naruto standing between him and the door. I see you found my plans and decided to take a look at them. Naruto said with no emotion in his voice. I bet you are wondering what could lead a man to need so many plans. Look around you. All of these are different plans or contingencies. Plans in case other plans go wrong. Plans in case one event happens instead of another. I bet you even wonder why I created the winter contingency. The leader hardened his face. Why would you need to plan some of those things? I demand you answer me now. You have no right. Naruto said, his hatred and anger pouring into his voice as he radiated killing intent. Do you know what a contingency is? It is a provision for an unforeseen event that can't be predicted with certainty. Would you like to know why that last one is there? It was on the front page. Naruto said with a smirk as Hiruzen picked the folder back up and looked at the word betrayal on the first page. That is why. If I am ever betrayed, the winter contingency is one of the possible outcomes. Even that particular contingency is not guaranteed. It might never truly be put into action. It is simply there because of the small chance that the correct events fall into place, but who knows? What you are saying, Naruto, do you realize what I'm talking about? Of course. But like I said, it is not yet set in stone. I only plan for the possibility. All great generals have planned for possibilities. Besides, if that one ever gets put into effect it will be your own fault. What led you to even need this plan? You did. You deceived me when I thought you were the only person I could trust. My trust is spread thin as it is. But my hopes are that it is no longer misplaced. Now, I need to sleep, so I ask that you leave. The Hokage knew he couldn't argue. He started walking out the door as Naruto opened it for him. Once the Hokage was gone from his home, Naruto returned to his office. To his desk. To his contingencies. He flipped to the last page of the winter contingency and looked at the only sentence. In a way it was just that. Konoha's sentence. Naruto looked at the final sentence with the happiness of a madman. A part of him wanted nothing more than to act out the contents of this contingency. He read over the one line over and over again. Quickly he stopped remembering the other part of his mind and composed himself. One day, I will be here on that day. I will be here on that day. The day when they decide what plan I will use. Because it will be their actions that determine it. They will decide. Naruto said to himself as he closed the folder and turned to leave. He needed to be ready. For everything. He could feel it. Things were about to change. He could feel it in his very core. Break. Before the exams had started, Naruto had gone to his home and packed a scroll just in case. The scroll contained his weapons, including his sword, as well as other items that would be needed for varying situations. Naruto had learned some time ago how to seal many things in one seal, but pull out certain things at one time. He did all this because he had heard of some of the previous exams and wanted to be prepared. When they got to the second floor on their way to the test, Naruto and his team kept moving. However, as he left, he shouted that it was the second floor and that it was nothing more than a trick. Once they got to the correct floor, Naruto had them enter at once. Once they were in, it didn't take long for them to be noticed. While the others talked to different people, Naruto was talking to Hinata and Shino about something they believed was more important. Alright, if we have to fight each other later, what should we do? Shino was the first to speak up in response. Well, from what I have learned about previous tests, there will be a segment where the different teams will need to go against each other, and another segment where we will need to go head to head. In the team segment we should work together. It shouldn't be hard to convince Kiba to go along with this plan, but getting your team to go along with it will be harder. No, it won't. All we need to do is convince Sasuke and Sakura will follow suit. My team and I may have grown closer, but I have yet to be able to truly change how they see things. All we need to do is make Sasuke believe that this will help him get stronger, and the rest should take care of itself. His friends nodded. Now it was time to think about what to do if it came down to fighting each other. I think we should just fight but leave out killing moves. Fight but stop when we know one of us has won. Hinata said, to which the others nodded. Naruto noticed something going on with the others as a sound genin had attacked another Konoha genin by the name of Kabuto. However, Naruto decided to ignore it as the first proctor had shown up to start the exam. Things were about to get interesting. Break. Naruto had gotten through the first part of the exam without much hassle. He had a clone he made before the exam henge into a fly and copy the answers from an obvious plant. This was another trick. He had a little trouble getting Sakura to stay for the final question, but his speech had made inspiring people easy. Once Anko burst through the window, Naruto had to face palm at her antics. But this is where things got important. The Forest of Death was the next part of the exam, and the goal was to get the opposite scroll before heading to the tower in the middle of the forest. Naruto had been in here plenty of times and knew that having the genin sign waivers was no joke. Things were getting serious. Once inside, he had his team meet up with Hinata and Shino's team. Sasuke's first reaction to seeing them was to get ready for a fight, as was Kiba's. However, with Naruto, Hinata, and Shino, they never got a chance. They quickly managed to convince Sasuke with the fact that this would get things done and advance him faster. Kiba was convinced when Shino threatened that they would leave him behind with his bugs if he didn't agree. Needless to say, he didn't argue long. While their teams had different scrolls, they were able to quickly see the benefit of working together after witnessing Gaara kill a group of Omega genin. This was too important to spend time fighting each other. Things were progressing nicely when both teams had their scrolls and they started heading towards the tower. However, once it hit night, they decided to stop and sleep inside of a hollowed portion in a tree. They were all to keep watch at different intervals, with Naruto taking the first watch. About half an hour into his watch and Sasuke came out and sat next to Naruto. My watch still has another hour and a half. Can't sleep. Sasuke nodded. I wanted to talk to you. What about? When we first put on the same team, you helped me open my eyes to the fact that I was just acting better than some people, when in all reality my pain is not unique. In this world, people have those they care for taken from them every day. It is not exactly once in a lifetime, but the pain of never having anything is never something I could experience. But your life still has room to lose everything. You could know my pain one day, but I could never know yours. That's what I said before. Is there something in particular you wanted to talk about? I wanted to ask you why you tried to get to know me that day. You said that it was because we were on the same team, but you never tried to do the same with Sakura. The answer is really quite simple. I had a promise to fulfill. What do you mean? I also once knew Itachi. What did you say? You heard me. You see, Itachi was once my friend. Back when everyone hated me, he was one of the few I trusted. I never imagined he would have committed the Uchiha massacre. You see, that night, just before he left, he came to me and told me goodbye. He also asked me to make sure that I help you stay on the right path. I don't know what happened that night, but he truly wanted me to help keep you out of darkness. All this time, why? Why would he do that? Why did he ask you to do that? I guess, Naruto said as he stood up, is that no matter what happened that night, he truly cared for you. Well, since you're here and want to think, I'll let you take over my watch for the time being. Naruto said before taking off into the forest. He left me behind to do his job. Son of a. With Naruto, things were going by him at a massive speed. He was currently just trying to think about what he had said. While he believed he had done the right thing to keep Sasuke out of darkness, he felt like he might have messed up something, like he had changed something that had been planned out for quite some time. However, he was brought out of his musings when he heard someone scream. When he found the source, he saw a red-headed girl being attacked by a massive bear. Naruto quickly created several clones and had them do the very simple task of acting like food and luring the bear away from them. With the bear gone, Naruto quickly refocused on Karen. Naruto offered his hand to help her up and she didn't take long to accept the help. "Thank you. I got separated from my team and then that bear attacked me." "No problem. To be completely honest, I was just trying to take a walk and think. By the way, what is your name?" "My name is Karen." "Well, if you don't mind me asking, what is your last name?" "My last name is more of just a clan name, so I don't really go by it, but it's Uzumaki." "Well then Karen," Naruto said, getting rid of his surprise and gaining a smile, "I think our clan might truly be rising once again." What do you mean by that?" she asked. She was surprised at his answer. "Well, my name is Naruto Uzumaki and I intend on one day going back to our home." That's not possible. All the Uzumaki were wiped out. "If that were so, then how are you here?" "I wonder who told you that." "There were survivors, but they were scattered across the world after Uzumaki destruction." "Wait, I was also told that members of the Uzumaki clan have red hair." "Yes, that is true. However, basic biology will tell you that my hair is from my father. My mother was, in fact, an Uzumaki who came to Konoha shortly before the land of whirling tides was destroyed." Karen nodded. It made sense and it was completely possible. But then she asked a question. "So now that we know we are from the same clan, what do we do now?" "Well, I would say that you should make your way to the tower. You can't find your team and I wouldn't say you're going to survive too long on your own out here. You won't pass the exam, but you should go ahead and make your way there. I'll keep you company. But what about your own team?" "Don't worry," Naruto said as he created a clone to make sure she got there. "Just wait. Eventually I'll figure out what to do," Naruto said before waving goodbye and taking off. He had found a member of his clan. He was going to one day try to find some of them, but he never expected to have one just show up like this so early on. Who knows, maybe his ancestral home wasn't as far from rebuilding as he thought. To say that Naruto was not happy about today's turn of events would be an understatement. He was downright pissed. First, Orochimaru had shown up and distracted Naruto with one of his snake summons that he quickly dealt with while using several hundred clones. Once he was done with it, he quickly ran back to join his friends. Once he got there, it didn't take long for him to be knocked out after Orochimaru commented on how he was little more than a pest. As a last-ditch effort, Naruto had tried to use his sword. However, when Orochimaru used his own, he was able to outmaneuver Naruto and land the hit that knocked him out. When he woke up, he found that Sasuke had forced the Sound team to retreat after having woken up with strange tattoos all over his body. To make matters worse, once he was done, Sasuke had once again become unconscious. Now Naruto was carrying him as they were heading to the tower. "Will someone explain to me again why I'm carrying him? You only just woke up from a nap. Stop complaining," Sakura responded. "I was as she said this that the tower finally came into view. Finally, now I can find out some information about Orochimaru and what he did to Sasuke. Time to call in another guilt trip from the Hokage. I can't keep doing it forever, but for the time being he can't keep any important details away from me," Naruto thought to himself. Naruto was currently standing in front of the third Hokage himself. Once they had made it into the tower, they had confirmed that they were done and had gotten Sasuke to the medics so as to make sure that he was fine. No one could do anything about the seal on Sasuke's neck as it was too complex and integrated. While everyone was taking time off at the tower and waiting for everyone else to finish, Naruto had made a clone to hold his place while he went to talk to the Hokage. As he stood there, the Sandaime was getting increasingly nervous about Naruto's presence in his office. Lately the two had kept their distance and only talked when something important was about to be made known. He wondered what was about to happen. It was bound to be an important discussion for Naruto to have come to his office. The moment Naruto walked in, the cage activated the privacy seal, knowing that it was going to be important. Naruto was simply staring at him. In his mind, Naruto was laughing. It was fun to let the Hokage sit there and squirm in his illustrious chair. Finally, Naruto decided to end it. "There are two things I want to know about and you will answer my questions honestly. Do you understand me?" Hiruzen nodded. "Good. The first is Orochimaru. That psychopath put a seal on Sasuke. What was it and why?" The Sandaime's face grew grim. "That seal was something we know very little about. Even though Orochimaru was my student, I failed to see what he was. As he continued to descend into madness and darkness, he started experimenting on people. Very little is known about it, but that seal is called the Curse Seal. It has a very low survivability rate. However, we don't know much other than that and that it grants the user power, but at the cost of Orochimaru being able to use it to influence them to a certain degree. Alright, the other thing I wanted to know about is Itachi. What about him? What happened the night of the massacre? We don't know much other than that he killed his entire clan before they could react and that he left his brother alive. From what Sasuke told us, Itachi wanted him to let his anger and hatred grow until he was strong enough to challenge him. It seems he wanted Sasuke to grow into a worthy opponent in his eyes. Then do tell me why Itachi came to me that night making me promise that I would help Sasuke stay on the right path and get stronger. The old man was now gaping in shock. Naruto had never told him about this. What do you mean? What happened? I already told you what happened. Now you tell me why Itachi seemed to be acting. With me or with Sasuke he was acting. Though if he wanted Sasuke to grow in his hatred I doubt he would have come to me at all. Now speak. I can see it in your eyes, you are hiding something. I already told you that I want the truth. It has been denied me for so long until recently, and now you will speak. The Hokage sighed. Naruto was beginning to be the source of a few headaches lately. Naruto, I want you to understand that if what I am about to tell you ever leaves your mouth, even to your inner circle, then I will have no choice but to put you to death. That does sound important. I understand. Now speak. I hope you know that I am telling you a secret that was supposed to stay buried. So was my secret. Now stop stalling and talk. The relations between the Uchiha and the rest of the village have never been great. They got even worse after the Kyuubi attacked. Many thought they saw the Sharingan in its eyes, and the only person to have ever controlled that monster was Madara Uchiha. Eventually Itachi came to me and told me about how the Uchiha were planning a coup d'etat. We knew that if they did this it would cause many more deaths than we caused by doing what we did. You had Itachi kill his clan so as to spare as many lives as possible. But let me guess, he wouldn't kill Sasuke. Couldn't would be more accurate. He came to me pleading for his younger brother's life. However, I know that if Sasuke remained alive Itachi could never remain in the village. I told him the cost would be to become a missing min. He quickly complied with the cast. Anything to protect the one he cared for more than the village. The Hokage nodded. I find it amazing, Hiruzen. The third flinched at the way he said the name. What? The fact that you personally created some of the worst enemies this village has ever faced. Itachi, Orochimaru, and depending on how things go, it is quite possible that I and or Sasuke could be enemies of this village. Naruto, list. No, you listen, old man. You said that the seal somehow influences people. You created Orochimaru, and in turn he could change Sasuke into an enemy. If the seal influences people, what better thing for him to influence than Sasuke's hatred of his brother? This and many other things are your fault. I can only imagine what else has stemmed as a consequence of your actions. That fact is inescapable. Hiruzen knew it was true. But then he realized the time. Naruto, I need to ask that you excuse me for now. I have something very important to do. Of course. Naruto turned to leave. Just as he got to the door he stopped. I know that I can't call on information from you forever, so I will be expecting one more favor from you that you cannot refuse. Then the debt will be cleared away. Naruto said before leaving. It wasn't like Hiruzen could exactly argue. However, it wasn't like Hiruzen wasn't trying to fix some of them. Especially those pertaining to Naruto. Only problem was that he was having trouble rectifying an important right now and hoped that he was able to get it done soon before something happened that couldn't be undone. Break. Naruto was currently sitting in a chair at his home. The clone was still standing his place back at the tower. He was currently making up a few plans and contingencies. His fight against Orochimaru showed him something. The Hokage didn't know that he wasn't using the greatest one of the greatest libraries to ever exist in order to get stronger. His threats would be empty if he couldn't get stronger. Orochimaru swatted him away like a fly without much trouble. And to think, in a one-on-one direct fight the Sandaime was above Orochimaru. He wanted to protect certain people, but how could he do that if he was too weak? He needed to grow stronger. Now, how to do that without revealing himself too soon? Then an idea popped into his head. It was going to cause some migraines, but it was worth it. He went outside and quickly created several hundred clones. You all know what to do. Get to it. We have too many things to do and not enough time to do it. Organize your squads and do your jobs. I will be in my office planning for the things to come, Naruto said. The clones gave their salute of their right fist over their hearts and their left arm folded behind their lower back. He needed this plan to work. If his own suspicions were correct and from what he knew about Orochimaru from everything he was able to dig up in such a short time, then his plan needed to work or people would die. He needed these pieces. If he didn't have them then things would go wrong. Things are escalating. And I'm up against someone who has already shown that as insane as he is no idiot. Orochimaru was here for a reason, not just to give Sasuke his curse mark, but something more. If I'm right then things are reaching a climax. one of the many that are to come. To say that Naruto was becoming increasingly not happy about the way things were going would be a major understatement. He was toughly pissed. Orochimaru had fought with Anko, resulting in her using a kamikaze move to try and kill him. She was reckless, almost died. Her anger at Orochimaru blinded her. Then there was the preliminaries. They had started relatively well, Shino had won his easily enough, and Sasuke had also managed. However, he was disappointed at how weak Sakura was. She and Ino tied, but the match was almost pathetic. It lasted longer than some of the others, but Naruto was left underwhelmed. It got better as Naruto almost broke his third neck. While Shino, Hinata, and he had grown stronger, Neji was still stronger than Hinata. When he went in for the killing blow, Naruto saw it immediately and shun down before catching the boy by the neck. Neji's momentum let his feet keep moving just enough for them to come off the ground, and that suited Naruto just fine. Neji was taller, but it didn't matter, his feet were dangling as he was held off the ground. Everyone was shocked. They never expected for Naruto to get there before anyone else could react. Even Neji was scared. He had noticed the abrupt changes that Naruto had gone through in the past and knew that he was currently unpredictable. Naruto was an enigma to Neji. But Naruto decided to get to the point and make things clear. He pulled Neji down and made sure Neji was leaning over enough before speaking in the older boy's ear. "If I ever think for a second that you are ever about to hurt Hinata again," Naruto spoke, his voice taking on a dark and sadistically happy undertone, "then I will crush your neck in my hand. How is that for fate deciding things for you? If you act, I am quite destined to react. Now, nod your head if you understand what I just said." Neji nodded as best he could with the grip the younger shinobi had had. "Good." Naruto responded before letting go of Neji and backing up a step. Everyone thought it was over until Naruto acted once again. He quickly spun around with his leg extending before sending the stunned Hyuga flying into the wall, leaving an imprint in the concrete. The proctor was stunned. Short break before we resume matches," he said, trying to wrap his mind around what had just happened. Naruto kept walking though. He was tempted to kill Neji when he had the chance, but it would have only caused problems. Naruto's own match also went well. Hiba was not in top condition, so it wasn't hard to get several clones to distract him and Akamaru before the real one employed the double suicide decapitation technique. After the preliminaries were over, they were given a month to train before the finals, and Naruto was going to make the most of it. While Naruto did have his clones working on his pet project, he did intend on finding someone to help train him for the time being. It didn't take much time for him to rule out many on the list. Even Kakashi was gone. He had opted to help Sasuke. Speaking of Kakashi, wasn't that his perverted giggle? Naruto wondered as he heard something so familiar. When he found the source, he saw someone he had read about. The perverted toad sage himself, Jiraiya of the legendary Sannin. Naruto just found his temporary sensei. "Hey, old man," Naruto said, tapping on his shoulder. Jiraiya looked at him. "What do you want, kid? Don't you see I'm busy doing research?" "Ah, yes. The kind of research that might be ruined should anyone, I don't know, say, me decided to yell, I don't know, look a pervert. Right here next to this conveniently placed women's hot springs that is visited often by Kunoichi. I'm sure you would like to get back to it. Don't let my next few words disturb you," Naruto said before drawing in breath in an over-exaggerated fashion, as if he was about to yell. Jiraiya panicked, flailing his hands to stop him. "Wait, there is no reason to do that. I'm sure we can come to some sort of arrangement. Let me ask that again, what do you want?" Well, Naruto dragged out while holding a pose like he was deep in thought. "Oh, I know. I'm currently in the Chunin exams and need someone to help me train during the next month." "What, you can't be serious. If you still want me to start telling people that the Iro Sannin is back in Konoha, then by all means I will be happy to oblige." Jiraiya scowled at the name but knew he was cornered. If he didn't go in with it, then he would have to get some actual work done. He at least wanted to get some research out of the way first, and throwing this kid a bone would guarantee that. "Fine, I'll help you train. Now what do you want me to help you train in?" "That is simple. I would like you to help me train in my Kinjutsu, Taijutsu, and chakra control." "Well, we had better get right to that then." To put things simply, Naruto was currently falling off a cliff. A more precise way of putting it would be that he was pushed. Over the past couple of weeks, Jiraiya had been training in his Kinjutsu, Taijutsu, and chakra control. While working on his Kinjutsu, he had used a generic sword, so Jiraiya wouldn't recognize the blade. His Taijutsu had become on par with most high-level Chunin. When they started working on his chakra control, Jiraiya had done 3 things. The first was that Jiraiya had Naruto sign the toad summoning contract. The second was that he had Naruto work on the water walking in order to be better prepared for what he was going to do next. It was time for Naruto to try working with the Kyuubi's chakra. In order to force Naruto to interact with the Kyuubi, Jiraiya pushed Naruto off a cliff. This is where we come in as Naruto enters his mindscape. It didn't take long for Naruto to navigate what appeared to be a basement of an industrial plant, with pipes running along the ceiling and the floor that was slightly flooded as the pipes leaked. When Naruto came into a giant room, the first thing he noticed was the giant cage in front of him. He approached it and saw what he was looking for. The Kyuubi. It had known he was there from the beginning, so it was already looking at him when he entered. "Come closer," it said as Naruto approached the cage but stopped when he noticed its claw move. "You were going to try and stab me through the cage. Very perceptive. I didn't think I would get you, but thought it worth a try. You are much smarter than some give you credit for. I'm not sure if I should take that as a compliment or not. I was commenting your intelligence, take it as you wish. But you are here for a reason, aren't you?" It wasn't a question. "I need to use your chakra for the time being. At least until I am strong enough to not need it." "Ha ha ha ha. You certainly are direct. First, do tell me what you are currently thinking about the current situation of the village and those in it. I trust almost none of them. But you already know hat. You already know just about everything I'm thinking about what's going on. I can sense that Orochimaru wasn't here just to give Sasuke that curse mark. It was too simple for a man like him. With Orochimaru nothing is ever simple. And then Jiraiya is here. He has helped me these past few weeks, but I can sense that he has ulterior motives. I just don't know what they are. I don't trust him, especially considering he was supposed to be here for me all this time, but wasn't. However, right now I have more pressing matters to deal with." "Ah, you mean your contingencies and plans. So what are you going to do?" "That depends on them. I would like to talk to you at a later time, and for now just want to get this done." "Of course. Take the chakra. Think of it as rent if you want. I must admit that this cage is much more comfortable than my previous seal. Not to mention that if you die I die. Yes, I read my mother's notes about what her mindscape put you in," Naruto said as he left, feeling the power now at his disposal as he summoned the Chief Toad, causing Jiraiya to smirk. Things were moving along, and not even Naruto could stop them now. Break. The rest of his month-long break from the Chunin exams had left Naruto ready for anything. He was prepared to fight Neji and had prepared himself for anything else the day might bring. Naruto could feel something coming. And it was coming soon. For all the time during his training the Kyuubi had yet to speak with him, but for now it was fine. He watched the rest of the matches without much interest, aside from the fact that Kankuro forfeited his match. Naruto didn't see him as the type of person to simply give the other person a victory. However, it was now time for his fight against Neji. Neji was as overconfident as usual. Naruto may have taken him by surprise before, but he was already tired from fighting Hinata and was unprepared. Now it was just the two of them, and fate was on his side. Meanwhile Naruto could look at Neji and see the arrogance. He was still stuck on his obsession with fate. It was time to truly crush him under the weight of the truth that fate had nothing to do with anything. You carve your own path. Just before the fight was about to start the Hokage was getting a report. "And you are sure that he has been here for the past month?" "He has been here for at least that long," the Anbu in front of him replied. "He was training Uzumaki Naruto during the break period between the preliminaries and now." "That stupid toad." The Hokage growled as he pounded his fist into his chair. "I told him it was urgent and he completely blew it off. No doubt Naruto used blackmail to get him to help with his training. Probably not telling everyone he was here. As soon as the finals are over I want him paralyzed while he is conducting his research while someone makes his presence known. Keep him alive though. After that I want him tied up in an uncomfortable fashion and brought to my office. That is an order meant to be taken 100% seriously." The Anbu nodded at their orders and disappeared. Back to Naruto and Neji, the fight had started and they just stood there staring each other down. "You know you will lose Uzumaki, it has already been decided by fate that I shall win. Hand it, I don't believe that trash one bit and when I'm done you will see that it is nothing but garbage." Naruto yelled as he quickly rushed Neji. Neji quickly knocked Naruto aside before seeing him burst into smoke. A shadow clone. When he looked around for the blonde he couldn't see him. Before he could react hands came up from the ground and grabbed his ankles. Before they pulled him underground he quickly broke the grip they had and backed away. It took him only a moment to activate his Byakugan and saw that Naruto was underground. However he didn't stay there long as climbed out of the ground. "Well, the Byakugan, now things are getting serious. I hope you have heard of my signature Justu, because if not this is going to confuse you," Naruto said before 20 clones popped into existence beside him. Neji was now panicking. He couldn't tell where the real one was. They all had the same chakra. That meant he just needed to deal with all of them. This decision reached him just before he rushed in to take on the clones. He quickly dispelled all of them to see the last one standing in front him smirking. Just as Naruto started running to go for a punch, Neji started to spin around, thus scraping Naruto's fist as he pulled back at the last second, trying to avoid the defensive move, Kaiten, often described as the perfect defense. This was going to be fun. Naruto shook his hand to ignore the scrapes and jumped away a few feet. Do tell Neji, what drives your passion for fate? Neji looked at him for a moment before lifting his headband. He was showing the caged bird's seal. The fate of a branch family member is this mark. Fate is unavoidable. I was fated to be a branch member, and this is where I am fated to be. These eyes of mine show me many things. One thing they've shown me: people's limitations are set, fixed, and unchangeable. Only a fool wastes his time trying to become something he can never be. The only destiny that everyone shares is death. And this mark represents a mark of the bird in a cage. It is the symbol of being tied down to an inescapable destiny. Neji responded before telling about how his father was forced to die in his uncle's place, and how that is the fate of a branch member, to serve and give their lives for the main family. I am sorry to hear that you believe fate determines everything. I am also sorry for the life you have had so far. However, this is as far as you go. No, this is as far as you go, you are within my range. Neji said as he got into position. A trigram 64 palms. All Naruto could do was stand there and take it as the jutsu closed off his tenketsu. When Neji was done, Naruto was still standing there but was slightly hunched over. You have lost Uzumaki. No, I have not. You once told Hinata that people are judged by their true nature. It is the way of the world. That is why we have elite, and that is why we have outcasts. We can change our physical appearance and improve our skills with training and study, but ultimately, we are judged by what we cannot change. What can't be changed must be endured. We are who we are, and we must live with it. And you know what? You were right about that, but not in the way you think. People are judged by who they are, but in the end we are who we are and it can't be changed. Everyone has burdens, things that define them, and these things can often never be changed. They must be lived with, but it is our ability to live with them, accept them, and know that it makes us strong enough to do what we believe in. Who we are can be changed, and what we decide to do with who we are is what matters. It is not what others decide to do with who we are that matters, because if you truly believe that, then you have not accepted burdens you must live with, you have accepted shackles that bind you in such a way you can't even see that you hold the key. Do not accept your existence on fate. Screw fate, carve your own path. Naruto yelled the last part as he felt chakra flowing through him. He had called upon the Kyuubi's chakra to reopen his pathways before forming several dozen clones. It is my ability to take what was given to me and make it my own that allowed me to get this far. It is because I didn't just accept my fate, I built myself to this point. Now, you have lost. Naruto said as his clones quickly went in and systematically disabled Neji until he was knocked out. Your reliance on fate is what brought you here. Take your fate and bend it to your will to create a path no one can ever get in the way of. Fate is a set of unchangeable events. The only fate one should take is that which has already happened, because that can never be changed. However, destiny is the unchangeable future. And that is garbage. Everyone carves their own path with the fate of what has happened to make a new future that is created by those who shape it, not by destiny. Naruto said as he walked away. Break. After the fight with Neji, Naruto's day proceeded to go downhill from there. Sasuke had kept everyone waiting, and just when they were about to disqualify him he made an over-exaggerated entrance. To say things had gone wrong after that would be less than the reality of things. When Gaara saw his own blood he lost it, and then things went right down the crapper. Orochimaru had started an invasion by activating a genjutsu that made most of the crowd fall asleep. Many of them quickly escaped and started getting others out. Naruto was in it for less than half a second because Kyuubi had altered his chakra flow, seeing as how his chakra was still there to do so for the moment. Naruto had decided to make himself useful and gathered Hinata, Shino, and Anko to follow Gaara. As they made their way out they were followed by Shikamaru and Kakashi. As they went on, Kakashi and Anko split up to take on Temari and Kankuro. This left Naruto, Shino, and Hinata facing Gaara. The fight went badly, with Gaara now pinning Shino and Hinata to trees in his partial Biju form, demanding that Naruto fight him. So, I was right. You are a Jinchuriki, just like me. Gaara's face took on a slightly shocked appearance. What do you mean, there is no way? These people try to protect you, fight by you, and are your friends. How can you be like me? The answer to your question is that the circumstances and choices in our lives changed dramatically. Things went wrong for both of us. It is hard, especially considering that one of them is the Ichibis, but I can see in your eyes the pain you have suffered. Beneath the hatred and indifference, you have suffered betrayal, loneliness beyond anything I could imagine, and raw hatred that over time simply consumed you. Naruto saw as Gaara started to experience everything that turned him into what he was. I have been through different things, but I chose to keep trying no matter what they threw at me. You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you? But you chose to become what everyone thought of you, instead of creating your own path and staying in the light. So allow me now to be your friend. Together we can change this world's view of us. Naruto said as he reached out his hand towards Gaara. Gaara was looking at him with shock and tears on his face. How could one be given such a burden and keep walking down such a path? Gaara was thinking. Gaara started to reach his hand out to take Naruto's before he felt everything crash down on him. Blood. Give me blood. Gaara tried to fight it before he lost himself all at once and lost conciseness. It didn't take long as the Ichibi formed with Gaara lying on top of its head. Naruto had to react fast and quickly summoned the chief toad. As he stood on top of Gamabunta he looked at the Shukaku. I need you to get me close. From a short distance I can jump on. After that you can go back. Are you sure about that? Yes, now move. It didn't take long for Gamabunta to get in close and then disappear once Naruto was on the Ichibi. The moment Naruto got close to Gaara he knew he needed to make the Ichibi hold still for him to concentrate. I guess it's time to do that, Naruto thought as he used chakra to keep himself standing while forming a number of hand seals before putting his arms out to the side and his palms away from him. Instantly chains started to emerge from all over his body and wrapped around the Shukaku, even going so far as to muzzle his mouth. But the Chibi holding still Naruto quickly found Gaara's seal and put his hand on it before closing his eyes to concentrate. As Naruto moved the chains extended and retracted as if they simply became the length needed. It took a few moments and the seal was still weak but the seal now stronger than before. Depending on how things go Gaara would now be able to sleep. This was all evident as the beast started to fade away and the sand started to fall away. Naruto decided to go ahead and take Gaara to his friends before waking him up. Once he had Shino and Hinata together he woke Gaara up. How? I was able to rewrite your seal so that it is at least stronger than before. You should even be able to sleep now and the voice in your head should be easier to block. Gaara was shocked. He had gone through all this effort and still ended up helping him. If it wouldn't be too much trouble, I would like to accept that handshake now. Gaara said, obviously still weak from it all. Naruto reached out and they shook hands. So this is what it's like to have friends, Gaara thought before his siblings showed up. They didn't look too good, but before anyone could say anything they got Gaara and took off. Break. It had been a few days now since the Sandame's funeral and Naruto was currently walking next to Jiraiya. Naruto had almost choked one of the old fools in the council for a particularly rude comment about him when they were discussing the topic of the next Hokage. However, the fact remained that they were currently on a trip to find said chosen person. Tsunade Senju, granddaughter of the Shadame and chosen Godame. However, she was also missing due to her sadness and refusal to return to the village. That was where Naruto and Jiraiya come in as it was their job to find her and bring her back. They had been practicing and sparring along the way and Jiraiya had started to teach Naruto the Rasengan. Naruto had been training Herder and was becoming better in his Kenjutsu, Taijutsu, and chakra control as they went and he had even been able to move on to the second stage of the Rasengan. Naruto was currently thinking about some things as they walked into a village that Jiraiya claimed Tsunade had been sighted in. Naruto was leaning more towards it was because this place had a bathhouse that was popular among women in the area. However, Naruto was forced to redact the thought, if only somewhat, when they managed to find Tsunade in a bar. As they approached her they could see she was tensing up, as if she knew they were there for a reason she wouldn't like. In all actuality Naruto knew that was exactly what they were there for. Hello there Haim. Jiraiya said as they walked up to her. What do you want Jiraiya? Jiraiya-sensei can try to handle this. Based on the fact that she looks like she wants to break your bones, I think I might get better results. Naruto interrupted. Alright, give it a try. Jiraiya said, backing away to give them room. Alright brat, what are you two here for? Tsunade asked and Naruto sat down. The Sandame was killed by Orochimaru and we are here to retrieve the chosen Godame. That means we are here for you. Not going to happen. So you are content to sit here in your own drunken self-worthlessness. I honestly don't know why they want you to take this position. You truly are pathetic. Watch it brat, I could still take you down with one finger. As fun as it would be to watch you try, I had enough fights with drunken people back when I went to Wave. However, how about we settle it on a gamble? I'm listening. She couldn't pass up a good chance to win some money. If I can master the Rasengan within the next 3 days, you come back and accept the post of Godame Hokage. And if you lose, Jiraiya will give you all the money he currently has on him. Alright, I accept. Good. Naruto said as he stood up. When he got to Jiraiya he had the Toad Sage walk next to him before he kept talking. She will be coming back with us in a few days. From what you told me I know she couldn't resist a bet. Oh, so what were the stakes? That I will master the Rasengan within the next few days. If I win she comes back with us and if I lose you give her all the money you currently have on you. What? You can't just bet my money like that. The fact that I just did proves how wrong you are. DRRR, it's not just that. There is no way you can finish the Rasengan in such a short time. Yes I will, and the fact that none of you believe I can shows why it was a good bet to make. Trust me Jiraiya. Fine, head back the hotel room we got. I'll meet up with you later. When Naruto got there he made a quick hand seal before gripping his head in pain. Yeah. Crap that hurts. But I don't have time to do it slowly. Naruto said, once again trying to compose himself. Once he got over the pain he sat down so he could get back to work on the Rasengan. However, before he could get back to it though he heard a knock at the door. When he opened it he was surprised to see Itachi and his Akatsuki partner, Kisame Hoshigaki. Itachi was the first to speak. "Naruto, you will be coming with us." "Hey Itachi, can we cut off his legs to make it easier?" "Look, as fun as that sounds, I am going to have to decline that offer." Naruto responded before closing the door. "Itachi, he just closed the door like we were room service." Kisame said with disbelief on his face. "So he did, you can break the door." "With pleasure." Kisame said before destroying the door. However, he was shocked to find Naruto coming at him with his fist. Before Kisame could pull back to block it, Naruto was able to fly past with his fist connecting with Kisame's face. Before either Akatsuki members could recover their shock, Naruto took off, leaving behind several clones for them to deal with. "That should keep them busy until I find Iro-san," and Naruto thought as he took off. Break. "That should keep them busy until I find Iro-san," and Naruto thought as he took off. Break. At night Jiraiya was sitting in Tsunade's room talking to her. "So today the Akatsuki I've been trying to gather information on made a move to capture Naruto. I'm telling you, if you come back it will work. You and I both know he isn't their son. Sensei told us himself. He just named Naruto that to honor them. I know that, Jiraiya. I was there. But we can't simply." "Of course we can. I have things set up perfectly. With you as the Hokage and the fact that the most people in Konoha hate him, it won't be difficult to do. Besides, I already have him using it, so it will be simple. You and I both know that with him only containing half it can't reform later. It seeds at least part of its other half for it be able to do that. Fine, I'll take it under consideration. But I still want to wait for this bet to be over so I can get your money." Break. They were currently on their way back to Konoha with Tsunade and her apprentice Shizune. Naruto had surely shocked them all when Naruto had intervened with the fight between them, Orochimaru, and his lapdog Kabuto. Naruto had sent in several clones out onto the field and had them charge the battlefield with either a sword or in their taijutsu stances. Most went after Orochimaru, but Naruto took 3 clones with him to take on Kabuto. While 2 of the clones had swords, Naruto and 1 of the clones were ready to use taijutsu. Naruto and his clones quickly engaged, putting Kabuto on the defensive as he dodged sword strikes and punches from Naruto. However, while the clones kept him busy, Naruto made more clones to keep him occupied. One of the clones quickly lunged, grabbing onto Kabuto's left leg. Before he could stab the clone with his chakra scalpel, another clone took the opening to grab onto Kabuto's right arm. The rest of the clones took advantage of his state and stabbed their swords into Kabuto to hold him down before grabbing onto him to keep him from fighting. He was trying to escape when he noticed the real Naruto rushing towards him with a Rasengan in hand. He couldn't do anything as he was forced to take the Rasengan to the chest. However, before they could finish Kabuto and Orochimaru, they were able to get away. This brought them to the gates of Konoha as Naruto had won the bet. Now that finding the new Hokage was over, he needed to go home and prepare some things. He had a feeling that things were not over. He didn't know why, but he could feel the danger approaching. "This is it. I can feel it. A decision will be made soon as to the paths I will be limited to. Things are moving ahead quite nicely. I might not have been promoted for the Chunin exams, but rank matters little when you are stronger than most people. Now I just need to make sure that I am stronger than most people. What if Naruto betrayed in the forest of death?" Sasuke bashing. Thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.